And we are live. What's going on, YouTube Live? It's your boy, Billy Rowe. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. Today is Tuesday, and if it's Tuesday, typically, that means we have an intersation. However, starting this Tuesday, because it's the last Tuesday of the month, and every last Tuesday of the month, our interstation will be a little spiced up, a little different, and with an intersation with a first row panel. The characters will change, but the content will stay the same. So with that, I want to start off tonight by, again, welcoming you. Tonight's topic will be on Intersations panel on Dating 102. Now, if you were here for Dating 101, you got the basics, the fundamentals. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper, get a little more grittier, a little more dirty with the information that we're given tonight. So with that, I want to take a moment briefly to introduce my guests before we get started. Tonight we have the crowd favorite, fan favorite, Cousin Mo. Can you say hello to the people, Cousin Mo?
Hello, Cousin Mo, man. I'm a Morehouse man. I'm a married man. I'm a father. And I'm always glad to be here with the presence of my cousin, Cousin Ro.
All right. Then we
and
also
to the esteemed guest. Sorry about that.
and
our
the esteemed guest. Yes. Moses is used to it just being he and I, because we do an interstation once a month, but that's nor here nor there. With the second guest that I would like to introduce, I have one of my wonderful friends, and soon to be, I'm going to start assuming to call you esteemed colleagues, Tara Lynn Singletary. Could you say hello to the people, please, Tara Lynn?
Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, as always. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's always fun. It looks like Brian Sr., my cousin, is already in here. He's looking forward to it, too. I'm sure he'll give some tidbits. And last but certainly not least, we have a friend of mine that I refer to endearingly as Baby Squad. But tonight we'll be using her birth name, Selena Jackson. Hello, Selena. Can you please say hello to the people?
Hey, guys. What's up?
Oh, you guys don't understand how much fun you're going to have with Selena on here tonight. So, as you know, my name is Billy Rowe. Again, I'd like to welcome you to the first row. Again, tonight's topic is Dating 102. So, what we're going to be doing on the Intersation panel tonight is I'm going to be presenting a couple of questions, presenting a couple of nuggets, a couple of pieces of feedback, but the panel will be responsible for answering those questions. Though you will see the four of us interacting, the reason why we call this Intersations, you'll see us interacting together on the video. This is an open forum for you to engage, for you to contribute information, whether that's a nugget, if you have a question, if there's a situation that you're dealing with that you want us to kind of brainstorm about on the fly, this is the place to do that. So what Intersations is, because it's still relatively new, or at least it's a new year, Intersations is when an interview meets conversation. When you bring those two things together, you get Intersation. Intersation panel is very much like an intersation on a one-on-one basis. However, instead of bringing you into a one-on-one conversation, I'm opening a lens into an open conversation, a group conversation, so that you can be involved as well, but you can see different perspectives and have different pieces of information that are given to you and be able to work with, hopefully, to grow in the areas of the things that people are saying that resonate with you. So without further ado, we're going to get started. We're going to jump right into it. I don't even know how long tonight's Intersation is going to go, so just rock with us. If you got to jump in and out, jump in and out, but do what you got to do. Get the information. If you're watching live, I appreciate you for watching live. If you're watching on the replay, be engaged in the comments, and we can definitely get back to you at a later date as well. So with that, I want to start off. I'm going to let whoever wants to jump in first. This is going to be a free-for-all type night. Whoever wants to jump in first. The first question in any Intersation is always, what does this topic mean to you, Dating 102? Oh, they're scared. Oh, they're scared. Yeah. I tried to drop a knife in the middle of them and see who had the guts.
Oh, don't be shy.
Go ahead, Selena. I want you to start off first. We're going to break all this anxiety that you got. We're going to break it all right now. Go ahead and go.
Okay, sorry, I can't help it. I just want to dance. Okay, so this topic for me, Dating 102, is just putting me on game, honestly. Like, putting me on game, putting everybody on game in regards to their dating life. See what's going out there. I'm Baby Squad, so I'm really trying to, do my best dating life. So I'm excited, to be put on game, and that's what this topic's about to me. I'm about to be put on some game.
All right. See, this is why we call her Baby Squad. She's in training, but she has some knowledge that she's gonna drop on y'all. So don't let her sleep. Don't sleep. Don't let her fool you. Cousin Mo or Carolyn, what do you guys got?
I mean, this is pretty simple. The foundation was laid in 101. Now it's all about, like my grandmother used to say, sifting through the bullshit and getting to the bottom line.
Hey,
you know, that's it. That's what it is tonight.
All right. Cousin Mo, what you got?
Hey, so they made it through the first class, 101. They know that dating is about knowing yourself and then having some standards and expectations, setting some boundaries and being able to use those boundaries in your favor, right? Because you want to be able to select away from those things that you don't want, and you want to be select towards those things that you do want. So right now that you know yourself and you know what you're looking for, here's some fundamental tips to allow you to be a little bit more successful in that dating game. Get your dating market value up. That's what we're going to give you in this course, 102.
Step your game up. I like it. For me, again, this is like after the we call the love affair, after that little limerence moment where somebody is new, where somebody is refreshing, and then you got to actually start digging to find out if this is somebody that is going to transition into a relationship where it's more exclusive and less casual. So for me, dating 102 is really putting like the rubber meet in the road to where we're able to see, hey, where is this really going? Are we going to transition back into friends? Because I don't really want to waste my time in a relationship with you. Or are we going to really do the little Keith Sweat and try to make this thing last forever? So with that, hey, they don't know because that was on the mixtape back when we was kids.
Hey, I was on mute, but yeah, that's the song. You don't even need to hear the words. Will you do that? Yeah, there we go right there.
All you got to do is plug your nose when you sing it. That's to get you the Keith Sweat twang. But other than that, like I said, we're jumping in tonight. I hope you guys are ready. Get your seatbelts, get your snacks, get your popcorn, whatever you got to get. But it's game time. So with that, I want to start off with the very first question, and we're going to kind of hit the ground throwing some jabs. So the first question, I'm fielding it to anybody who is interested in answering. What expectations do you require for someone that you are dating to bring to the table? Y'all gonna make me start calling y'all. Cousin Mo, unmute, go.
I got you. So, I've been married for 11, 12, 13 some odd years. Seem like I could tell you about the beginning, or I could tell you about the ongoing relationship that we still have, because we're still dating, right? We just have the advantage of being able to get through a lot of the other stuff where, the songs would work, the let's go out to eat would work. And now you got to start having conversations at those tables that are about some deeper element things. So what should she bring to that table? Number one is that open mind. Number two is the ability to listen. I know I had to learn this, but it was always thrown at me. Man, listen to the woman. Man, listen to the woman. But there is a value that I have, and there is a future that I see as well that I want to help create. Just like there's a future that she sees that she wants to help create. And if she's not willing to listen, and if I'm not willing to listen, then somewhere along the lines, those visions might be compromised. And we don't want that, right? We want to be working towards the joy that we want to create in our relationship. So that open mind, understanding that there are some things that I may want that may not have been in her old fantasies. They may not have been in her 5-year plan, her 10-year plan, but we're working on years 15 right now. So we got to start to adjust and start to pivot. And then once we're having that conversation, we got to be able to listen to each other, understand, take it in, even if we're not able to just agree up front, which is all right. We don't have to just say no up front either. Don't shoot each other down. But as long as we're not getting to the point where we're just, I'm closed-minded, here's what I want, I think we'll be all right. We working on it though, Brother Ro. Ask me in 2 years how this is working for me, and I'll let you know.
In 2 years, as long as you're still open-minded, you should be just fine. Is there anybody who wants to build on top of that, as far as the open-mindedness is one of the expectations?
I like that.
Okay.
I like the open-mindedness, because I feel like you don't want to be with somebody who's closed-minded, because how are you supposed to grow? How are you supposed to grow into something that's better? I feel like whoever that you're with, they're supposed to bring the best out of you, and you can't sit up here and be open-minded about it or whatever they're trying to teach you. Then what you doing? Like, what you trying to build? At that point, we're just friends, and we don't need to be in a relationship. We ain't building to nothing. You're wasting my time. Like, so I really like that open-mindedness. What he said, I got a little notebook over here I'm writing down. So I like that.
Same right here. I got a big notebook, and it has every intersation that I've done in it.
I'm definitely feeling the open-minded point. I like that too, but I think that to me, what's more important than anything for me, and that is a foundation of respect, even when you're dating. I think that if you have a foundation of respect, then that allows some wiggle room for each individual person to not be perfect. I mean, we're at 102 now. So we talked about 101 foundational things. So let's say we've gotten to the point where we're like, okay, there's an interest here. Where do we go from here? I think establishing that respect, and unfortunately, respect is different for different people. What I may deem disrespectful, this person may not. So it sounds really silly to a lot of people, but if you don't establish that early on, then you get into a situation as things progress where you're just blown back because somebody does something that's just outwardly just literally like spit in your face disrespectful. But wherever was there a conversation for what those boundaries are? So these are the things that people don't typically talk about. You're typically going on a passion. You're typically going on a connection. You're typically going on a bunch of superficial things. But with the foundation of respect, now you have some room to be imperfect. Now you have some room to really connect, have that conversation, have that openness, have those different things. So respect is the start for me.
That's a good start. I think you're right. It keeps you from being blindsided because it's not just respect, but it's having those conversations about what respect is. Because if you think, like you said, if you think, oh, well, you know, it's cool that I do a little flirting when we're out in public, and I'm like, I'm not cool with that, then it's going to be, for me, I'm going to receive that thing that you think is being respectful, where I'm not kissing them, I'm not giving them my number or doing anything with them. That's respect in your field, where I'm like, you might as well be doing all those things, because it's hella disrespectful. You're out here in these streets flirting with me standing here. So I agree with that. And I think another part that I want to add that spins off from that is really about being true to yourself and true to your intentions. It's hard to establish respect from a counterfeit position. So if you're not being true to what it is that you want, so let's say sexually, if I'm really into threesomes and that's something that I want, then I need to be true to myself on what it is that I want and try to say, hey, this is something that I'm interested in sexually. This kind of also blends into being open-minded. Is that something that you're interested in? Because for you, it would be very disrespectful for me to just show up with a woman at the house and be like, look, I brought some work home for us. And you like, well, what the hell you do that for? Right. So I think about being true to yourself about what the things are that you genuinely want, are genuinely interested in, and then being true to what your intentions are. All of last year, my dating experience was very transparent, very honest with people as far as, hey, look, if you're looking for somebody to be your boyfriend this year, 2018 is not the year. So you should probably move on and invest that time in that type of relationship. But if you're looking for somebody to have a good time with, to spend time with, to get to know, to develop a friendship and a foundation that you can actually possibly build a relationship on, then I can be that guy. But as far as me answering to you where I'm at, what I'm doing, when I'm coming back, that's not happening. And I had people who were not true to their expectations or true to their intentions try to tell me, oh, well, you know, it's cool, I'm good with that. And then when you start talking to them deeper and you listen to what they're saying, they're not okay with that. And then 2 months later, they got a boyfriend. It doesn't surprise me you have a boyfriend, because that's what your intentions were. Those were your true intentions. So I'm with you guys, open-minded, respect, and true intentions. But let's, you know, this is 102. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's dig a little bit deeper, because that's at the surface, like me still kind of getting to know you. But when it comes to when you're looking for a relationship and a partner outside of the open-mindedness, outside of the respect, outside of what their true intentions are, what are the things that you expect for them to bring to the table? See, you can want for them to bring open-mindedness, but what do you expect? What are your requirements? What are your standards that you're standing on and are non-negotiables for you?
I feel like
I think oh no, go ahead, Miss Lee.
No, go ahead. I got scared. Go ahead. Talk.
You know, for me, I'm not down with the whole promiscuity thing. You know, a lot of people, if I'm to a point where a deal breaker for me.
Sorry, Carolyn, I lost track of you. You're not down for the whole what?
Oh, I'm not down with the whole promiscuity thing. And what I mean by
Okay.
that is I don't think that if I'm trying to connect with somebody, they necessarily having a loyalty and allegiance to me. But when I say connect, if I'm taking my time to invest in getting to know someone, then it's beyond superficial, for me at least. So eventually, sex is going to come into that.
Right.
So for me, I don't want somebody where, okay, we can't even get the time to really connect because you dipping into this one, this one, this one, this one, that one.
Mm.
You know, it's 2019. And not to each their own, but that's something that's unattractive to me in a man. I think that once you get to be mature folk, you done had enough of it, you done seen enough of it, felt enough of it, tasted enough of it, slapped enough of it. You've done enough of that. It should be about more than that once you get to a certain space. You know, it just should be. And if it's not, let me know that, because then I'm not the person that you should be spending your time with, because I don't want to spend my time with you. You know, so that's for me. So somebody who just has to be sticking everything, you can't focus enough to really get a connection with somebody and see where it would go. That's a deal breaker for me.
I like that. You trying to avoid those stick and move mentality people, and there are some stick and move mentality women as well. So
absolutely.
it ain't just us guys out here. Hey, you know, Cousin Mo, what Selena? I'm sorry, you were going to actually say something. What did you want to add?
No comments on it in regards to like bringing to the table, or what do I expect. Like my life right now, as I'm learning, I expect somebody to come to the table with goals. Like I'm not looking for somebody who is a finished product, because I sure on the heck ain't a finished project either. I'm still working, but I feel like doing for somebody is that you have goals that you're trying to work. You said with the soul connecting, because I'm trying to connect myself. We're not connecting if like this, then I is there, and again, you're wasting my time. Got me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit on. Oh wait, I think she's broken up all the way. Let me go back to her really quick.
Yeah, it looks like she froze out a bit.
Yeah, she did. Okay, well, we'll get her back in. Oh wait, I can hear you. I just can't see you. Can you hear us? Okay, I think she'll have to come back. Oh, and then she comes back. See, I just had to say it. All right, you're back now, Selena. Or no, you're not. You just had a nice freezing moment instead of your mouth being open. Yeah.
I see myself. I'm fine. I'm just who.
Yeah, it's your camera. Your camera is freezing on our side.
I'm also hearing a little bit of her voice breaking up. Is her Wi-Fi on?
Yeah, she turned her Wi-Fi on before we started.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, you take care of your technical difficulties really quick, Baby Squad, and we will come back to you in a moment. If you have to, you can leave back out and follow the link back into the room to get it to get back in.
Okay.
Okay, Cousin Mo, what you got to add?
All right, so I'm gonna try to break it down in the least amount of words as I possibly can. But you know me, I'm long-winded. So that ambition is a sexy concept. So goals, having a plan, but also the knowledge base that goes underneath it, right? So don't tell me about creating intergenerational wealth as something that we can strive towards, but you don't know how to do basic interest rates, or you're looking at your effective tax rate. Because when we start moving up, and like we have, we've been fortunate enough to move up. Both of us are working. So now we need to map out what is our bills, what are our expenses and things. So I love the ambition, but I also like that intelligence. That's table stakes. We can have the conversation around other things, the superficial things. But when it comes down to me, the things that will drive me and keep me waking up in the morning feeling most enthusiastic about the relationship are those goals, that us goal. So I like to break it down like this. There's the little u, and then there's the S. So there's me, there's her. These are two separate circles, but we have a relationship that we're investing in that brings us together. Oh, you are a part of our dream. So O, you, and then the R. You are a part of our story. Can we have that collective journey? So in that journey, I don't want to be broke, so she can't want to be broke. I don't want to sit around not being productive, so she can't be comfortable not being productive. I don't want to live underneath my potential, or not to be able to manifest my what resonates in my soul, being able to have a good word with people, have good relationships with people. And so at some point, she's going to either have to get with it or be without it.
Yeah, I like that too. The knowledge to back it up, because you may have missed Selena. You're sideways, by the way. You're sideways. You gotta fix your camera. There you go. There she is.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
But that's all right. Moses was building upon what you were saying as far as goals, but also that ambition, that goals, those are kind of tied in together, but also having the knowledge beneath that or underneath that to back those goals up. It's one thing to say, I want to own a home or I want to have a career, but if you don't have the knowledge to back those things up and you don't have the basic knowledge, the foundational knowledge to even accomplish those things, then it's like, well, how are we going to achieve those things in 5 years and 10 years without that knowledge? For me, the biggest thing I expect people to bring to the table is honesty. Like, outside of your promiscuity, somebody say the word
promiscuity.
Thank you, promiscuity. Aside from your promiscuity, I'm like, I know this word, it just don't want to come out.
It's toxicity.
Toxicity.
AKA toxicity.
Oh, man. Aside from your promiscuity, you, regardless of what you have, I just want you to be honest about it, because what I have found is that people get upset with you when you take their choice away. I am one of those people. When you take the choice away for me to make an informed decision on whether to go further with you, then I get frustrated, and then I don't want to spend any time with you. And then regardless of where the relationship, where that information comes up at, now I'm ending a relationship or ending the dating that I could have ended in the beginning had you have come forth with that honesty. So for me, the number one deal breaker is if you don't know how to be honest, I'm good. Because I'm not playing Carmen Sandiego with you. Where in the world is you at 2 in the morning? I'm not playing that game. So
I also, Billy, I had to throw this in because when Mo was talking about, getting together and building, I think that's important. And I think to a certain degree, that's the expectation within a relationship. Sorry, somebody called me.
Because your sound changed, but I was like, oh, wow, okay.
The expectation within a relationship is kind of that we're going to do things together. But I think also it's important in any relationship, there has to be a space for the individual. Even though you're together, you're on individual journeys, individual paths. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone where there's no space for me to grow and have interest. And then now I have you to support me and to support that. That's just as important as what we're building together. A lot of what's exciting about being in a relationship with somebody and having your own things that you're doing is being able to throw your ideas out to that person, get that support, get that feedback. But if it only matters when it's about us and there's no space for me and my individual dreams and aspirations, that's something there that's a killer for me too, especially being somebody who is hyper driven, super creative. I want somebody who is just enthusiastic about those types of things, and not just for us, but for me. And they're happy for me, just like I'm going to be happy for them and want to see them succeed. So yeah, I want us to the world blow up. But I also have some things that I want to accomplish and experience independently, which does not mean that my person will not be a part of it. It's just that that's something that I need to do for me, and I need for them to care enough about me and what matters to me to be invested in that, just like they are in themselves and in the quote unquote us doing things together. So I wanted to add that.
I like that.
I like that you said that. I had somebody tell me a while ago, like giving me advice and stuff like that. It's just like, even though that you're trying to be with somebody and you're trying to grow, you still have to build your own life. So when I tell people, like, I'm dating, like, hey, yeah, if it goes somewhere, yeah, we can grow. However, I'm still over here trying to work on myself. I still have goals. I still have dreams that I'm trying to do by myself. And a lot of people at my age right now, I feel like they don't really understand that, as well as I don't know, they don't understand that. So I'm just like, yeah, they don't understand that. And they see me and all that I do, and they're just like, wow, and they're not doing it either. But that's a whole other story for a whole other topic.
Whole other topic. Whole other topic.
Now, I like that though, because it's like sometimes when it comes to choice and then control, now they want it to be all about us and forgot that it was me that got us here in the first place. So let's do that. Let's recognize that there was something attractive about me.
Say it again, cousin. Say it again.
You want it to be about us and not about me, but there was something attractive about me that got us here in the first place. So don't forget about that once we become an us.
All right.
Yeah.
That is a powerful statement right there. It was me that got us here in the first place.
Oh, wait, this is on YouTube Live. Wait, and there was something about you too, babe.
We know it goes both ways, Mo. We know it goes both ways.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You know, one thing that brings up, Carolyn, is the aspect when somebody can't be supportive of you as the individual and they are only concerned with the us, it typically fosters an environment of jealousy because of they see you doing as an individual and it doesn't in their mind contribute to that. You as a greater individual inevitably makes the us greater. Like there's no way I can be a greater me and not be a greater father. Like that, those don't go hand in hand. I have to be a greater me in order to be a greater father, whether that's having the knowledge, having the ability, having the skill set, having the patience, whatever it may be. As I increase those areas or those skill sets in my own life, my attributes as a father also increase. So the same thing for a relationship. As I work on the me as the individual, and as you support me working on the me as an individual, instead of trying to sabotage or be jealous and envious of me as working on me as the individual, thus our relationship is taken to a different plateau or a different plane as well. I like that. Ooh, I'm liking this 102. So now, I hope y'all got everything out that y'all needed as far as what you want other people to bring to the table. So let's flip the script really quick. Now, it's easy to say, I want you to bring X, Y, and Z. I want you to be perfect. I want you to be 5'6" or 10'10" or whatever it may be, whatever your height is. See, I gave us a lower height, Cousin Mo made us taller. I made us taller. See how I did that? See how I did that? But it's easy to say what you want from somebody, but let's flip this. What is it that you bring to the table when you are dating or in a relationship?
See, I find that that's tough, and not what it is that I feel like I'm bringing to the table, but you know what I've learned? A lot of the time, what I thought would be valuable to a man, that's not what he values. So, and I think it's the same thing with guys, with women, that they think, well, I'm doing this, but I'll stick with me since so for me, I feel like, or I know that I bring to the table, there is nothing sexier to me than a man with a vision. And when you have a vision and I'm listening and I'm connecting and I'm vibing and I'm feeling you, it's an aphrodisiac to do everything I possibly can to feed and support who you are, who you want to be, and maybe even throw some different things in there you hadn't considered because I see you in a different way than what you see yourself. Right. So I'm the person who's that steady, consummate support. Also, I'm bringing stability and independence within myself. I have my own thoughts, my own platform for my life, my own dreams, and I have my own thing going. So I don't need a guy to be with me for me to accomplish something or to get something. So you're coming with a clean slate. You're coming with somebody who wants to support you. I have my own thing going, so you don't have to worry about doing anything for me. I want us to be able to connect and give to each other based on what we feel, who we are, and what we're trying to build, not other external things, as I've been there when I was younger, having that type of dynamic. So I'm bringing that support. I'm bringing that stability. I'm bringing that independence. And more than anything, patience. Patience and consistency are important to me. I don't think I have to say, well, for people who don't know me, yes, honesty is absolutely important and it's who I am. But I think aside from that, maybe just taking that for granted, which I probably shouldn't, that everybody's honest. But no, but for me, it's pretty basic. Those basic things, I think, are a good foundation to build upon. If I'm with you and I'm connected with you, then it's us. You don't have to worry about my eyes being any place else. I've always been a one guy type of girl, so that consistency, that support, my independence, I want to be in a bubble with him.
Right.
That's what I want to do.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Exactly. Yeah.
What you're saying actually resonates with what Damien said earlier. It says, I expect the other person to, at some point, have a long-term vision for the potential longevity of the relationship. And somebody who can have that vision, I agree, it is very attractive. If it's like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I don't know. Well, I got a calendar out through March already. Actually,
exactly.
matter of fact, I got a calendar all the way into June already. So
I have stuff for next year I'm looking at already.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So if you can't plan one day ahead,
exactly,
you're not going to be able to keep up, and you're going to feel neglected when I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I have something planned that day. Oh, I have something planned that day. Because if you're not working on having that foresight to be able to see what's coming, then I'm constantly working on that for me. And you're gonna be like, well, dang, you don't ever leave room on the calendar for me. Well, I can be intentional about my time on the calendar with you. But if you don't speak up and say, hey, I want to get on your calendar for this day, that day will probably be taken. I've been messaged actually before this show. I got 3 messages in my inbox that need attention more than I can just give a quick response to. So I can't just be like, okay, well, let me jump into this now because you decided you want some of my time. No, my time is very valuable. I'm not discounting their value of their time. However, it doesn't meet with my agenda that I have already set for the day that came to me at 5 a.m. this morning via email. Don't meet with that. So I agree with that. And the other aspect that you said with stability that really resonates with me is not just the financial stability or, the driven stability, but really mental stability. I don't know if y'all been paying attention in today's climate, but there's a lot of mental ailments out there that are affecting people heavily. And so mental stability is very important, and not just the stability of it, but being able to have the mental fortitude to understand when you're in a place that is mentally destabilized. Because we all have our days. I have my days where I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. But that mental stability that I have is I also have the foundation to be able to go back, fall back, seek counsel from the people that I love and trust, and I know that they love and trust me, to take time to read a book, to help to get the mind out of the space, to watch a video, whatever it may be. I have that mental stability to be able to get my balance back. And I have the support network around me to get my balance back if I need assistance. So that's enough about what I was wanting to say. Sorry about that, y'all. But anybody else want to add? Because y'all are not off the hook when it comes to what you bring to the table.
Sex, sandwich, and about a couple of dollars. Your mic's up.
You know what?
I was gonna go deep. I was like, man, I don't gotta go too deep, like emotional intimacy. So I can connect with you on your days when you just need somebody to listen. But I also have the emotional intelligence to know that sometimes you need a good chastisement. I can give you about 15 minutes to vent, but after that, we're gonna have to move on to something a little bit more. Or I can sit back and Netflix and chill it out. So I got that flexibility to make my style kind of adjust. And I'm not so selfish to not be able to understand when you just need sex, a sandwich, and a couple of dollars. Hallelujah. Hey, if I'm out, amen, by myself, lights and walls, if I'm the only one. And everything else, we can figure out.
Sex, sandwich. What if they want sex and a glass of wine? You good for that?
No. Maybe in my older days, but right now we're gonna have to do with a tall cup of Kool-Aid.
All right, get you that fruit punch.
I cannot.
All right, what do you got, Selena?
I want to build. I feel like the whole stability thing, especially when you were saying in regards to like, I bring stability. If I can say the word. In regards to like the mental health, you got to make sure that you're good with yourself and so on and so forth. That support in regards to like, are you okay? Like, I can listen to you, this, that, and the other. Independence. Like, honestly, I really want to pick your brain because I really like you. So next time Billy come out here, Carolyn, I want to meet you because
Carolyn lives on the East Coast. Carolyn lives on the East Coast.
We're gonna take a trip.
Absolutely. Oh, girl, do not threaten me with a good time because I definitely will. You can actually join me and Ro in June.
Yep.
I'm learning about myself. Oh no, I do that. Wow, I was wondering why. So, I was like, wow.
Anytime, sis.
The independence. I feel like I bring that only because my daddy taught me to be independent. That's what I got to do. So it's just like I feel like a lot of people get into relationships are like, oh, they're so needy or they need all this attention. And it's just like, no, we're grown. Like we have our lives. We got to do what we got to do. We got to sit out here and hustle. Like, I don't need you texting me all the time or holding my hand or telling me you love me. I mean, tell me you love me and stuff. Like, butter me up, hype me up. But I'm also living my life. So I feel like the independence, like you don't have a child, you have somebody that you're trying to grow with. And I feel like that's what I'm learning to bring to the table as I'm learning myself and in what I have to offer. So again, I'm building. Like I said, I'm taking my notes.
Hey, you just sounds good to me.
Hey, put this in your notes.
You see this, okay?
Put this in your notes. What you want on your sandwich? You like mayo? You need lettuce?
Lord.
Put that in your notes right there. It'll go a long way.
You want on your sandwich, Jesus Christ.
Lord. Sandwich and a cup of water.
It's funny because again, I think stability is something that, and it's a blanket term, but it's something that I think everybody should bring to the table, and it's sad that not everybody brings it. And some of that is, going back, like Selena, you said, my dad taught me how to be independent and not to rely on anyone. So I'm used to that as an expectation. So I now have that and adopted that expectation for myself. The same thing for me. I'm like, you could drop me in the middle of nowhere where I don't speak the language and I don't know the people, and I'll figure it out because that is what my parents have instilled and ingrained in me, that, hey, look, at the end of the day, this is your show. You got to figure it out. No, there may not be somebody there to give you the answers. You might have to create the answers. So I like that. I think that's one of the things. I think for me, one of the things that's really important that I bring to the table in any relationship is my ability to observe and apply. Observe the person almost as if you were studying nature. You really look at what their mannerisms are, what their dreams are, what their aspirations are, what they want out of life, where they're at in life right now, and observing that information and really like learning even to the detail of the nervous tics that they may have, learning those things and then applying that knowledge relevantly, whether it's getting a card and writing something sweet and just saying, hey, I just want to thank you for being you, because that's going to really build them up. Or if it's like, hey, I was at the store and I grabbed you an almond roca box because I know you like almond rocas. Like whatever it may be, studying that person and observing them, not in a sense of judgment, but in a sense of how can I show the appreciation that I have for them spending their time, their lifetime with me. And that's not necessarily their lifetime until the end of time, but that is the time right now in their life that they are sharing and spending with me, that they won't get back and I won't get back. So I think that is the top thing that I bring to the table. And then going back again, my expectation is honesty because of my expectation of myself. I'm going to tell you whatever you ask me, be ready for the answer, because if you didn't want to know, you shouldn't have asked. So if you ask me, unless you ask me like how much I make, that's none of your business because we don't share any bills. So
that part,
that part, but I'll answer pretty much any question you have for me. And it's because in my mind, I'm helping you understand who I am today and where I'm trying to get to. Also in my mind, I feel like it should make you a little less defensive and judgmental or fearing the judgment from me when you go to answer questions that I give you. Because I'm telling you right now, lies that you tell in the beginning of the relationship, eventually, if the relationship is long enough, come out to the surface. There's no way to hide
all the time.
No way to hide
all the time.
Let's see what we got going on in this chat besides people laughing about Cousin Mo and his dang sex and sandwich.
Sandwiches. Boy, listen. I'm going to give people sandwiches. No wine, just sandwiches.
No wine, just sandwiches.
Sandwiches not even
Kool-Aid.
fruit.
Nope. Sandwich, Kool-Aid.
I'm basic.
With mayonnaise at that.
JC Jennifer Chambers said, bye, Mo.
Right. Exactly.
Omega Dreads Gaming Channel, I bring salvation to the table, also revelations. Hey, that's dope. That you wait, depending on what you mean, if you could clarify by salvation, I don't know if you're talking about spiritual salvation or if you're out here saving people, but if you could clarify that, help me understand. Omega Dreads, I appreciate you joining in on the chat tonight, though. So with that, while Omega Dreads hopefully is typing up what he wants to clarify, I want to move on to our next question. So back to this, dating 102. We now know what we want brought to the table, and we know what we bring to the table. My question is going to a place that I hear about often. What are your thoughts about dating people with children? Ooh.
Expensive.
Oh.
That's the first word that comes up. I mean, I personally have never had a problem with children. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, any situation can be challenging if it's messy. You know, if it's a lot of foolery going on, then no one wants stress. I'm guessing that would all depend on what the situation is when you enter into it. If it's a mess when you enter into it, exit, stage left immediately. Not immediately, immediately. Get out.
Right.
Because it typically doesn't get any better. And then you don't want your time and energy and finances getting wrapped up because people say, oh, I'm not going to get financially involved. Yeah, if someone has children and you're dating them and you decide to do a family day, the kids are going to be involved. You're going to spend money. Those things, it just comes with it. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. It just would have to be a situation that was normal.
Right.
I could say.
Well, you play with that word normal, but you and I have had conversations about what normal is to people.
Yeah. I knew you were going to go there, Ro. But see, not everybody is privy to all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just going to go with normal, what people,
normal. We're going to go with not abnormal.
There you go. Keep it pretty broad. Man.
What do you guys have to add?
I'll say it. Oh, wait, Selena?
There you go. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for him.
I know. I feel like to the topic, I'm kind of I don't play right because I have a child. However, I don't typically date people with kids because it's just too messy. I'll be like, I don't want to deal with that drama. I'm okay. And I think that for me, like, I don't want to meet nobody's kid. I don't want to get attached. And then I got to say, yo, daddy ain't shit. It's like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like,
basically. Right.
What just happened?
Whoa!
Selena, that went left quick. Hold on, let me get
right.
in the chair.
Here's a popsicle. Sit in the chair. Your daddy ain't shit. Your daddy not shit. Okay, let me just tell you.
No, I would never say. I would never say that. But yeah, I think that I got a little bit more growing to do in regards to tiptoeing my way into that. Maybe no.
I don't think you have growing to do. If that's not for you, that's not for you. Period. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Like, I mean, I've been involved with somebody with a kid, and it was cool because we have the same like understanding. Like, oh, you got your kid. You got your kid. You got your kid. You don't have to do those baby talks or anything like that. Like, I have a kid, but that don't mean I want more kids. Like, I don't even want him at the time. Like, no, like I don't want no more kids. I don't want no more kids.
That's a real parent answer though. That folks be out here, oh my God, my baby and my darling, and no, there's days that you're like, why did I have
bad idea?
What was I thinking?
Don't have kids, y'all. Don't have kids.
Don't do drugs. Don't have kids.
Don't have kids. Live your best life. Don't.
Live your best life.
Cousin Mo, what you got?
That's a lot of sandwiches. Now let's go a little bit deeper. Yeah, because you feel beholden to do more because they come with more, and so it's like, am I only going to make one sandwich, or am I only going to buy one loaf of bread? And so let's use it in real terminology, right? Nutritional health is important in relationships, right? What do we eat? One of the things that we do is we eat. Who's going to cook? The division of labor at the home. If my wife asks me, what are you going to make? I'm going to go to, baby, what you want, a sandwich? You want one of these sandwiches or some top ramen noodles? But I'm not going in there to make a 4-course meal. Now let's bring that into the dynamic of now this person has children. We're not young chickens anymore. I'm in my 30s. My wife is in her 30s. So let's just imagine if I was, not in the situation where I'm happily in right now, and I was still dating. The woman that I would be with, if she had children, how old would her children be? They got to be some preteens, or at least, and they getting up there. What kind of sports and activities do they want to get involved in? After school programs? Are they trying to go to private school, public school? Do they have the ability to go to any like coding programs in the summertime? There's a lot of responsibilities that might come in where you can be a part of her life and be a part of their life, but it's going to get pretty expensive. So my first word answer is expensive, but other than expensive, it can be fulfilling if that's what you like. But I'm not the type to make them sandwiches. So let's jump back into the real Moses. I'm not buying all them loaves of bread. Them is your kids. I'm not fixing all of them sandwiches. If they hungry, let's go back down there and let's see how big of a family meal you're looking to make. You're in church. I like what she said. We riding home from church and she step out because she got to go, to the gas station or whatever. And I'm in the car getting ready to pump the gas. I'm going to look over at the kids and say the same thing she said. Your mama ain't shit, right?
Oh, they throwing jabs tonight. So let me do this really quick because I want to add to that, Cousin Mo, because I'm pretty much in tune with you on that. But I want to go back to clarify what Omega Dread said as far as salvation to the table. He said, "I realize many need saving from themselves." I don't necessarily agree. I agree that there are people who do need to be saved from themselves. However, I don't put on a personal cape to go out there and save them.
Captain Save a Hoe.
Yeah, that's what I was trying not to bring E40 into this, but that is the truth.
Don't bring him in if you fit. Bring him in.
But I can respect the person who does that, and I think for myself, the only reason I'm not that way is because I had that mentality earlier in life where, well, I'm going places and I'm going to be doing things. So these people who may not be going places and may not be doing things with their lives, let me incorporate them in what I'm doing to hopefully bring them along the way. And what that did was it created drag on my own vision, and it created setbacks that were unnecessary for me. So I can bring salvation. I'm not saying I can't bring that I'm not capable of that. However, I am not looking to bring that to the table. I'm not looking to who I can throw a life raft to. Scrolling down a little further, I think he clarified a little better, though. He said, I present yin and yang to all women, kind of that balance. And that is, I think, is healthy. Presenting somebody a balanced sounding board, something that they can go to and know that they're going to get an honest, true, balanced response, not something that's overly emotional, not something that's under emotional, but something that is balanced and that is going to help them find the equilibrium that they're seeking in themselves. Right. Then he said, she is a wise woman, mad respect first. I think that was to you, Carolyn, if I recall when that popped up correctly. Brian Sr. says, children are never the issue, in my opinion. The nature of the relationship with the absent parent is the area I need to be aware of, because I don't know what word that is. Oh, blended family.
Blended. Mm-hmm.
Because you spell blended, very interesting.
Blended
families are tough enough without the drama. So, and then what else we have here? Oh, gay area, whatever. And then also Brian agreed with you, said, yeah, real talk, for real. Your daddy ain't shit, real talk.
I agree with Brian, definitely.
And Cousin Mo, going back to what you're saying is the resources part. So especially as you and I being fathers, one thing I am always in tune with is the amount of resources that I am pulling away from my children. So it's not that I won't date somebody with children. I have no problem dating somebody with children, but I'm also weighing the amount of resources that would be diluted. Even if we were to get together and combine our resources, there's still a dilution that takes place when you're bringing kids into a relationship. So I have 3 children. So if I get with somebody with 1 child, we now have 4 children. I'm not going to look at, if I get with somebody with 4 children, we now have, I'm sorry, I got to do math, 7 children.
That's
how many children I had. So 7 children, that is, like you said, that's a lot of loaves of bread. That's a lot of choose. And 2 adults. I mean, but sometimes you might have to go without so your kids can get the nutrition they need to focus at school. So
and that also means that Mo can't be taken from their bread to make sandwiches after sex for her.
Oh, right. That's not gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
I mean, you gonna get the butt end of the bread. You gonna get the 2 ends of the loaves for your sandwich.
That's like 33% of my value of what I was bringing to the table right there. Like, you can't take that from me. Now I'm an ain't shit dude. Like,
But I also agree with what Brian was saying, where he says it's the drama that the absent parent brings, or the parent who you're not in the relationship with brings. It is very difficult to interact with somebody as it is, just the two of you, because you're two different people. And then you add this third party that wants to come in and cause disruption, whether it's because they want their ex back, whether it's because they don't want to see their ex happy, whatever it may be. That disruption, or even the disruption that it may cause with the child, those disruptions are very difficult to overcome. So it is very much, for me at this point in life, I look at the relationship, I look at the word, or listen to the words that the person is speaking about their ex. Well, my baby daddy, I can't get down with him, or I don't like this about him, and it's all about him. Then I'm not interested in that, because that means every time you guys interact, that resentment, that animosity is present, and that's going to be disruptive to our relationship, and it's going to be disruptive to your child. I would rather you be like, look, I'm not really messing with my baby daddy. We don't get along, so we don't talk. I have a relationship like that with my first son's mother, where we don't bring the best out of each other. It's not that we're individually bad people, but together, when our powers combine like Captain Planet, we don't form anything magnificent. So it is better and in both of our best interests that we're not overly interacting with each other all the time. So I don't talk bad about her, like, she's this and she's that. I have my opinions, but I pretty much keep them to myself. But at the same time, we have found a way of being co-parents that allows us to be in our own separate spaces and our own side of the ring, to where we're not coming together and fighting. So that is not something that somebody who is in a relationship with me has to deal with. Well, like, I got to deal with Rose crazy baby mama. No, I don't have a crazy baby mama that you have to deal with. It's a mutual understanding that, hey, we just don't vibe together. We don't bring the best out of each other. So let's try to keep our spaces separate and really focus on the key player here, which is the child. That's all. That's it. So I agree with what everybody actually said in that particular one. So I want to move on to the next question. Cousin Mo, you put something here in the chat. What about the idea of feeling obligated to support and include their kids? Yay or nay? Ooh, anybody want to jump in on that? Do you feel that obligation if you're in a relationship with somebody with kids?
You shouldn't. And the reason why I say that is because if there's we're at 102, so we're still at a place of exploration and building. Things are progressing at this point, but nothing's actually defined. So I think that obligation is something that the individual would have to take on. If we're just honest about the situation, if two people are coming together and they have their kids, however you support them should be something that's in place before you meet someone else anyway.
Wait. Say that again, because some people don't know that. Some people don't know that. Say it again,
that should be in your situation with your children, how you feed them, clothe them, the shelter situation, how they have activities in school, travel to different places with family. All of that should be in place. You should have that's a part of the foundation that should already be established in your home. So then if you're coming to a space where that's established and you have a child and he has a child, or whatever the dynamic is with the number of children, things are going to come up in both of your lives. But if you're stable in handling things and you have a connection with the person, then it's natural that they would say, I can see this person needs help in this situation. They're independent anyway, but stuff happens. But when you start to feel obligated, then there must be something that you've seen that shows you that there's a level of inconsistency going on over there. If I'm in a space where I feel like I need to do something, then I need to remove myself from that situation. Because I shouldn't feel that way if they're conducting things correctly. And me, I guess, when you get a little bit of wisdom, I'm not going to allow myself to feel obligated in a situation that I'm at exit stage left. Because if I feel obligated this time, then that's something that's going to continue to happen. And if I'm feeling that way in the first place, it's because something's not right. And a person who will allow you to continue to jump in like that, that's a never ending thing. That just, it's a dog chasing its tail. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. So, I mean, that feeling obligatory about any situation is a red flag for me.
I like that. Appreciate it.
I like that. Do you have anything, Selena, you want to add to that? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I was starting a child. My bad.
No problem. Oh.
I apologize. I mean, we're at 102. I feel like we should start talking about kids and supporting kids in 105 or 106. I shouldn't have met your kids yet. We still in 102. like why are we meeting each other's kids right now? Like, I don't know. But I do agree. I feel like those are your kids going into it. You should know how to support your kids as they should know how to support their kids. I mean, I get it if you want to like do stuff for each other's kids and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's that person's responsibility to sit up here and take care of your kids. If I got that right. But again, we're only in 102. Why are we meeting each other's kids?
I can't disagree with you there. Like, I can't disagree with you there. I hear you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there's a difference between what Carolyn, what I perceive you were talking about was like routines and rhythms, like having your routines established for your children. There are some things though where I think if you are looking long term with a person, you may see things that need to be addressed, and it's really about how you address them with that person that you're interacting with, more so than what you're addressing. One of the things that I experienced with when I got back into the dating realm after being married was, okay, I have this young son, I'm a single father, I'm gonna have to figure out life. And so I was acting to my son more like he was like my little brother, and as a little brother or a big brother to a little brother, you allow them to get away with way more things than you would as a father to a son. And so like my son didn't have a bedtime. It was like, look, he hangs out with us, and when he's tired, he goes to sleep. That's not really good parenting. So it took getting into a relationship with somebody who was like, hey, no disrespect, but why does your son not have a bedtime? Like, is there a reason?
Yeah,
like
that's my child.
Godspeed.
Okay, we do homework at night times, okay?
Right. It's like I need them to be ready. But those having that person give me that feedback was hard for me initially to establish a bedtime, and it was like, okay, well, maybe can you help me with that to where we can get him on a set bedtime and help establish that routine and that rhythm for him, because it's going to help overall to his success. When you're an adult, you have a bedtime, whether you want to admit it or not. You go to sleep too late, you wake up, you're not as productive as you could be the following day. So I agree with that aspect. But as far as doing for somebody's child, the way I interpreted your question, Moses, is that obligation to, like, if we're all going to dinner, am I going to pay for your child? If we're going to the movies, am I going to pay for your child? I'm naturally that type of person from a nurture standpoint. Like and I think it's because of the household I was raised in, where children, not my household, I'm sorry, in the family, the not immediate, but the extended family that I was raised in, children were not treated equally to adults. In many rights, that's true, but I feel like it was in an unhealthy manner, to where it was like, the kids would get popsicles, the adults would get Breyer's ice cream, the kids would have cold cereal for breakfast, the adults bacon, eggs, and pancakes. And so because of that, I'm very sensitive to how a child, whether they're my child or not, is treated. I feel like they should be treated fairly. And it may be like, hey, we're going to a movie that is appropriate for your child to see. Does your child want to come? If they're available to come, yeah, okay, cool, I'll buy our tickets. It's not like, well, I'll buy you an ice ticket, but you got to pay for your Rugrat, your crumb snatcher. No. So for me,
hold on.
I'm a little sensitive to that, but that is because of the environments that I've come out of. I do see here in the chat, Omega Dread said, I tried once with a single mother, never again, ever. I'm not built like Joseph and Mary.
I saw that. I was like, so I did.
I'm interested. Oh, so Selena, you have a question. You could go ahead and ask him live. You don't have to type.
Sorry, y'all were talking. I was trying to.
Don't be trying to slide in. Don't be trying to slide in. This ain't the DM. Don't try to slide in on the DM. She says,
I'm interested in regards to what happened, what made you turn down single mothers? Like, what was your experience, and why are you banning all of the single mothers in regards to dating? Because we got a date too. Like, what was your experience? I want to know. Like, I'm a single mom. I'm trying to, when I'm not working and going to school, I'm trying to have a dating life. So what was for you stepping in with a single mother? What made you kind of like say, no, I'm good, I'm okay, like more in detail?
All right.
And
two-part mamas. I'm sorry.
Two-part question. Put it out there to add to yours, Selena. So not only your question, and two, does he have kids? I'm just curious.
Kids.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Asking for a friend.
Omega Dreads, you're on the spot. We're gonna have to open up another slot on this panel, man.
Right? If I knew him better, I would send him an invite right now. Like, hey man, you got a lot of typing to do tonight, bro. All right, Future is in here. All right, what's up, Future 5001? So let's move on to the next question while Omega hopefully is responding to your question, Selena. The next question I have here is what are the risks of adopting roles too soon? So what I mean by this is, in today's society, I hear a lot of, wifey and, hubby and all these different things for people who are really not married. And so in your perspectives, what is the risk of adopting those types of roles, those types of responsibilities too soon?
Mo, I can't wait to hear.
Go ahead, Cousin Mo.
With the sandwiches.
Edge of my
Here we
seat.
go. We got to do it, right? Because there's no expectation for steak and lobster
Right.
and bisque and all of that if we still can't get around to sex and a sandwich. That's prerequisite. So establishing these expectations. I heard a little bit earlier, Selena said that her father taught her some things and told her how to be independent. And some of that comes into the relationship or comes into play with a man who is now in competition with your daddy.
Oh,
I'm gonna say that one more time.
Whoa.
There's a thing about a mama's boy that turns women away from men, but we're supposed to accept a daddy's girl. Why is that? Because the expectations of the norms are starting to evolve in 102. That might be a 103 conversation, so I'm not going to go there all the way there yet, but it might just hit us there a little bit later. Some of those roles can be catastrophic, right? They can resemble relationships that we've experienced that we had bad encounters with, so bad interactions, some unnormal things that were developed over time that we've experienced in previous relationships. That expectation being anything that looks like jealousy is automatic turnoff. You done already came and started saying, well, look, I just want to be open and honest with you. I respect you. I respect your opinion. I mean, there's something that I've been dealing with for, like the last couple of days. I was thinking about it. I just want to talk to you about it. I'm going to call you a little bit later when you get off work. You're like, okay, no worries. So now I'm going through my whole day. Like, what is we going to talk about? So it's already starting to feel like that we need to talk moment. And I'm already moving into a space where this relationship is going bad because that expectation of, communication. Ooh, we got to work on that, right? So open my mind up. I know that this could either be good or this could go all the way towards she ain't getting no more sandwiches. But I want to be open and at least listen. She might not get no more sandwiches and I might not get another sandwich from her as well. But I want to listen. But unfortunately, what happens is her expectations, if they're even not from daddy, they may still be the reflection of other relationships she's had. And we're not even there yet. Can I say that one more time, Cousin Ro? It might be the expectations from relationships she's had. And now she's trying to set boundaries and parameters around this future relationship. And we're only in 102, but we're not there yet. The fears that she brings to the table, some of that baggage, some of her concerns and some of her standards, before she can even get to know me and understand how I apply information, how I think, how do I react when I'm under high stress? How do I react when I've had a hard day at work? Do I need my feet rubbed or do I just need that sandwich? Are we jumping onto the Netflix or is that something up for negotiation? If she hasn't had that understanding with me yet, but she's trying to bring in some education, I would say, that doesn't relate to me, then it might be, what is the word, problematic. So that's my big in a nutshell. It's more about timing, right? So we're only in 102, like Selena just brought out, we're not at 105 and 106. Don't think you're at 106 when you're still only at dating 102. That would be my advice to anybody in the live chat and those who will be joining us in the restream. Don't you play us like we're at 106. You ain't even passed the prerequisites for 103, 104, 105. We on deuces, baby.
Get your feelings hurt.
Okay.
Does anybody want to add to that? I've got a star for something, but does anybody want to add to that or present their own?
So basically what you're saying is that starting that relationship, we shouldn't be sitting up here bringing other baggage to that relationship, right? With the sandwich.
With the sound.
Yeah.
We need a verbal.
Is coming.
So how do you how do you sit up here and like not have those, how do you not?
You know how they say give yourself that time to heal between those relationships or whatnot?
In a relationship, right? If you're sitting up here
if you're still toxic, that was 101. Sorry.
Yeah,
that was 101. If you still got some toxic levels, I thought I was muting myself. If you still got some toxic things that you're experiencing, then you need to deal with that before you think you're ready to move in back into the dating 102, because then you're just transferring negative energies.
I like that. Spoke to my soul.
No, and you're I agree with you, Cousin Mo. It is about resolving issues. Don't go into the relationship. One of the things you said, I believe it was in Dating 101, where you said something about broken people trying to get into relationships, and it's like I don't want to be in a relationship with a broken person. I don't mind being in a relationship. We all have our cracks. I don't mind being in a relationship with somebody who has their cracks and is working on their brokenness, but somebody who is just broken and has decided that they want to be defeated and or a victim. No, I'm good because I can't fix those issues. I want to hit this star really quick, because one of the things you said is about societal roles being that we are taught to, or I think women more so, are taught to be unattracted to mama's boys. However, we are supposed to be attracted to these daddy's girls. That inevitably, in my experience, and I have friends who are like this, that we are almost conditioned to, well, they are daddy's princess, and thus we must treat them as the princesses that they have been raised to be. Some of it good. I think the father raising their daughter to have standards and have value for herself and worth for herself is a good thing. It is a healthy thing. However, a daughter trying to put in competition every potential mate or every potential relationship into competition with their father, that is a battle that most men, if not all men, cannot win, because you were not birthed from our loins. So because you are not our child, the same type of love, if your father has a healthy love for you, hey, Selena. If your father has a healthy love for you, that same type of love, I cannot necessarily produce that same type of unconditional "you are my child" love. So it can be a losing battle that you set up guys for, if you want them to meet the standard that your father has set from an all accepting, all loving, all embracing relationship that they've had with you as a father to a daughter versus as a husband to a wife or a boyfriend to a girlfriend, or in this case, since we had 102, we're just going to take it as a guy talking to a girl or a girl talking to a guy.
I'm surprised, honestly, to hear that men actually will know or find out that that's what a girl is used to and that's her expectation, the princess, the way she's treated from her dad, and actually adhere to that. I really don't know how else to say it other than I've never heard of a man doing that. Mm. I haven't. Actually, what I've heard most is, hey, this is what I do for my lady, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what your daddy do, that's your daddy. And I mean, kind of like that. Mm-hmm. I have never heard of men who even care to try to live up to that expectation. Whereas it's so common for not only women to experience men who are the mama's boys and actually sign up for that. They'll go along with that. I mean, for a decade or more. I've never heard of a man doing that with it. So this is all news to me. Tell me more.
Let me be honest. I'm not living up to anybody's daddy's expectations. I've
never heard of a man doing that. That's why when Mo presented this theory, I considered a theory. I was intrigued. I was like, I've never heard of such a thing.
So it's almost, I'll give you a perspective. Have you heard of, what is it? That Captain Save-'em mentality, right?
Yeah,
So there are men who like to go into relationships with that same enabler attitude, right? They want to do the best things that they can. They're in competition with perceived value of a woman. They go into that relationship, they'll either try to buy their way in, they'll go into that relationship trying to flatter and compliment their way in. They'll go into that relationship, even at 102 levels, looking to say, well, if you need help on your rent or if you need help with this, I got you. So they want to project themselves off as somebody who is this big provider, even earlier in the stages before it. And I'm telling those people who are in the restream as they listen, if you're a brother, don't set yourself up for failure. One of the things that you even said a little bit earlier is that obligation or the expectation that you set in the early stages that may resonate with this person. Now, maybe you're lucky, or maybe you've insulated yourself from the type of men who actually come in and they want you to believe that they're opening up their hearts. So you'll see it in action, such as sending these flowers to your office. I just wanted to send you these gifts just to let you know I was thinking about you, baby. Mwah, boom. And then you'll get those texts. This is week 6, month 6, baby. So let's look into the lens of a relationship where you've met them, you've gone on a couple of dates, and now you're out of 101. You've identified that this is somebody that you are willing to have these deeper conversations about, to lay down a roadmap, a framework for what a relationship might look like, but you want to include them in establishing this framework. They're open. Next thing you know, you're getting the text message with the hearts and with the eyes on it, and they're almost acting the same way you see some people acting when they're thirsting on Instagram, or when they're all in some other woman's DM, but it might be exclusive, or they might be pushing towards exclusivity. I liken this behavior to the person who wants to impress upon you those same emotions and those same feelings that daddy must have gave you. I liken that to showing you that I am the type of man that your dad would be proud of. From the firm handshake to the way they look into your eyes, they are looking to compete with daddy. Don't do it, brothers.
Well, wait a minute. I think that could be viewed at it, because, okay, that could be one perspective, which even still, with your eloquent description, I thank you. I appreciate that. That could, and I'm not saying that it's not, because I'm not a guy. I don't know anything about any of that. But could it be that, or could it also be that there's a space of insecurity within him? Maybe somebody made him think that he wasn't good enough, or there's certain things that he can't do, or maybe he's not that provider. So he goes into a situation trying to prove something to someone that could care less. They don't even view that. They don't see that. Maybe it's not so much on them, because for me, now from my perspective, it's nothing wrong with, like you described, Mo, the sending the flowers to the office. And I had a secret admirer for like 2 years. And I don't know if I ever really found out who the person. I know a guy came and said something about it, but I think it was more so about the fact people kept seeing it, and maybe he wanted me to think it was him. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm always a bit skeptical of a guy that's just all of a sudden with just giving you things. I don't like that, because I always feel like things are in exchange for something.
Right. What are you trying to distract me from?
Exactly. I don't require that. Don't get me wrong. It feels good to be, special to a man and pampered by a man and all that. But that's not something that I value like that. So for me, that type of thing was just never, maybe that's the reason why I never got guys that were like that toward me. Maybe because if it was that way too much in the beginning, I shut it down. I don't like that. I don't. Never like that. So I would have to think that would have to be something more about him than about him meeting her. You're only in 102 now. You don't even know that much about her to get to the point where you've decided that, oh, well, this must be her. I can see that this is the expectation of what she's used to because of what her dad's done. I'm thinking that's more about him. I just am. I don't know.
Fair enough. If he asked to marry you in 3 months, he's definitely trying to do something that you're drop it right there.
Carolyn, what you're talking about for me reminds me of I think it was a Wednesday word I did back when I was doing Wednesday words on Facebook about our stories become our truths. And I think that in any interaction, whether male, female, male to female, whatever it may be, any interaction, we have these preconceived stories that we tell ourselves, and those stories they do become our truths. So we'll see somebody and we'll be like, she's the type of woman who wants this, or she's the type of woman who likes diner or diamonds or caviar or greasy burgers and fries. Like we create these stories, and then the instead of asking about the story, we create the story and then we act upon the story. So this is why the story becomes the truth. for us. It doesn't become the truth for reality necessarily. It just becomes the truth for us. And in the defense of guys, I do feel like some of that initial, oh, you know, let me send you a gift, let me do this, let me do that. I think it can be obsessive for some guys, but there is a balance of that, because if you are interested in a person, you should display that interest in a manner that they can receive, but don't try to like drown them with a gallon of interest. Like, don't do that. We're not trying to waterboard you into the relationship. But from the other perspective of and just the overall interactions, I've had experiences where women have taken that stance of, and I don't know if it's a stance of something that I projected or a stance of this is how all men want to be treated, so this is how I treat my man, where they have been overly indulgent in compliments like, oh, my chocolate prince, my chocolate queen. I'm like, or chocolate king, and all these different things. I'm looking at my watch like, damn, the date just started. How I make it to chocolate prince royalty? All
I did was show up.
Right. I ain't even did nothing special. But what I've done to counteract that is been open and honest with my communication. Hey, I don't need all that. Like, it's cool if that's who you are, but I don't need all that. Like the whole mwah, 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 mwah. I don't need all that. I just need somebody who's rocking with me, who's solid, who has my back, and I have that's what I need. So you can call me Billy every day of the week, and I can never have a pet name. But if I know you have my back, I'm good with that. But if you want to call me all these pet names, but then you stabbing me behind the back in other people's DMs trying to get attention with the same pet names, you got recycled pet names. I'm cool. I don't need that. I don't know who you was calling Chocolate Prince before me, but you can leave that title with him.
I thought I was your chocolate prince.
Your caramel king, right here. But that's true. I don't like all that. It's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Let me bring in from the chat really quick, because Brian Sr. said, oh, well, actually, Future 5001 said prerequisites. He was going with you, Cousin Mo. He said, hey, if you ain't made it past 102, 103, 104, how the heck you at 105 or 6? Brian Sr. says, I'm running from the daddy expectation scenario. I don't got you unless you can demonstrate that you got yourself. Woo! That's my bloodline right there. We in
Drops,
the same,
Mike.
We in the same blood. Because look, if you don't got you, I'm sorry, I can't hold us both up all day. That's just not a possibility. I can roll you down some stairs. Good luck. So, but let's move on to the next question, because I think this is an area that's very important. It's very private for a lot of people, so you ain't got to share all your business, but it's a very important area. And it really comes to what type of financial health or resource questions are important to you at this 102 stage?
Well, Ro, you said earlier, we're not together. What did you say? You said we're not together, or basically you don't need to know how much I make because we're not paying each other's bills, basically.
Right.
So at 102, I don't think that there's necessarily a lot of disclosure that needs to be going on. I think that it needs to be evident that you have yourself and I have myself. And then whatever it is that we decide to do beyond that point is what we decide to do. I think that unless there's an invitation made by either party for something, then there should be an expectation that you have yourself. I think that's it. But I mean, unless you're one of those people who are in 102 and now you feel like this is the one, which can happen because when you're adults, it's all about the connection. It's not necessarily a time frame. So you could be in 102 and be at the point where you feel like that's the one. If that's where you are, then yeah, you need to start having a serious conversation about credit scores, backgrounds with that type of thing.
What's your credit score? What's your bank account look like?
Well, if you're in 102 and they're the one, yeah.
Oh, you bank with Wells Fargo? No, I don't like their home loan rates. We can't even.
Right. Home loan rates are shady.
I got student loans. Hello.
Oh, your student loans? Oh, no, that's like 6.9. We can't even talk no more.
Right. You gonna drag us. So, and then from the perspective of 102, it's not your business, but like you said, if you think that you're the one, if you think you're with the one, or you're potentially pursuing the one, or you guys are courting each other, whatever it may be, these questions are important. And for me, the reason these questions are important is because I know what it is to be in relationships with people who are not, let's just say, financially solvent. And because of that, a lot of things fell on me in those relationships. And it wasn't even that I was in the best position to be financially solvent at the time. It's like, hey, you got me trying to catch. I'm juggling now. I'm like, all right, Smud, I'm gonna pay you. We're gonna let PG&E go this month. All right, PG&E, I'm gonna pay you. Smud, it's your turn to take a break. You know, I'm juggling and balancing things, trying to make things happen. However, I wasn't in the place where I was able to just be like, all right, well, I got it. You kick your feet up. I'll take it from here. Now, please believe there is a lot of hustle in me to do what needs to be done. So there's been times where I've had 2 jobs. There's been times where I've had 3 jobs, but those were not my future plans to have 3 jobs to be able to carry a family by myself. Like, because then at some point, the character or the caliber of person that I would be to my family would be absent, like, because I don't have any extra energy. So I just feel like this is an area that's very important that we don't discuss. And it's not that I have to be all in your business. I don't need to know your credit score. I don't need to know whether you have a bankruptcy, credit score, good credit, bad credit. I don't need to know that. But what I do need to understand is hey, so do you have a budget? That's something that I'm very upfront with in the beginning of dating anybody. Yeah. Like, hey, look, so we can do some things. Some things require saving. You know me, Charlie. You know what I'm about to say. I got a tier dating system. In the beginning, you're going to be on tier 1. Nobody starts above tier 1. Everybody starts at tier 1. However, as you move up, then I'm willing to allocate more resources of my budget to that, because at the same time, like I said, anytime I allocate resources to something other than my children, it detracts or dilutes what I am able to give my children. So that is what's important to me is like, do you have a budget? Or are you just trying to like go out and, like Moses said, overly impress me because you want to take me to a 5-star restaurant and get me a big steak right off the bat? I don't know if you're financially responsible with your money, but I got some questions. Like, can you really afford this? I know we're here, but can you really afford this? Or are you trying to send me your representative with the fancy stuff that you think I'm going to like, when we could have just went to In-N-Out Burger and I could have got a shake and some animal style fries? I'd have been good.
Animal style fries.
That's it. I think even the biggest takeaway there is that timing element, right? So knowing that when we're at 102, can we enjoy and can we experience 102? Or are we in such a rush to get either to 103 or to get to the next 101? So can we enjoy 102? And what does 102 really encompass? It's that opening up. You're supposed to feel a little uncomfortable asking some questions, but there are some questions that you might want to know. There are some observations that you might want to be alert to or keen to. At 102, we're not moving in. I am not that type of, I'm not trying to compete with you. That, well, if he was a real man, he'd be taking care of your bills. Or what, your car broke down and your man can't take care of it? What kind of boyfriend is that? I'm sorry, we're not there yet. So these financial conversations, they're going to have to happen either way. You're talking from a budget, whether they're talking on a movie night. You remember from Dating 101, I already gave you the insight that we're going Dutch. If we're going to the gun range for our first date, you got to get your own targets. If you're not somebody who's already a carrier, then we got to get there and we got to make that happen. But the expectation or setting the blueprint for finances are the man's job, it's probably not going to work out. We have to understand that we can push each other. That's just where I come from, though. But I'm gonna let that one rock.
All right. Anybody else want to add to this financial standpoint?
Again, we're in 102, so we ain't made any kids. And you know, the loans paid. Okay, I'm not in your pockets like that. But I feel like it's important, at least for observation, because it goes back to that another part of that stability. Are you able to, like you said, budget your money? Like, are you just sit up here blowing stuff off? Because I can't sit up here and be with somebody who's just blowing money. Yes, okay, like we ain't really making it rain out here because we got bills. Like, right. I got bills. I'm sitting over here trying to. I got to get my townhouse. You know, my townhouse. I keep telling you about.
Townhouse with your porch and your chair. I understand.
My porch and my chair. Okay? Like, I'm trying to say you're gonna be with me. So I just feel like that's really important. I know, like now, that's what I look at in regards to like, okay, well, how do you spend your money? I'm observating. So at 102, I'm looking, I'm trying to see like, okay, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Yikes. I know how I spend my money. I know I'm smart with it. Are you paying your bills first, or are you sitting up here trying to get those shoes first and not pay your bills? So I feel
matching
like
Jay.
I feel like at 102, that's to me, that's where finances is at. And then if you keep going and that's your husband, you know, you're trying to go for it and you're at 112, then that's where like, okay, so what's your credit score? Are we in debt?
Wait, I'm telling you now, I'm asking you, are we in debt? I'm asking your credit score before we get to the husband level. Yeah, I'm gonna need to know your credit score, because because here's the thing. If you're not asking those financial questions before you say I do, you're taking on those financial liabilities. And
yes, sir.
As individuals to hopefully build us, then taking on those financial liabilities, not assets, liabilities, is going to take away from the overall us. So I'd rather, hey, I'm really feeling you, I'm really vibing with you. We can get some certain things in writing to make sure that if something happens to either one of us, we're taken care of. However, before we make this union a tax union to where our W-2s are united in one income, as a household income, then I'm going to need to make sure that I'm taking care of what I need to take care of for myself financially, and that you're taking care of what you need to take care of. And I've seen this happen, especially with people in the child support realm, where somebody has a child support lien. Now you're married to the person, you file taxes, and now your tax return is gone, even though you didn't have a child and you don't have back child support that you didn't pay. So those are the aspects of for me that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need to know that. Shoot, I might need to know that in 103, because for me, how you treat your children financially, how you treat your children speaks volumes to me about your character. And so if you really are with your children going without and not supporting your child, I can't rock you. Yeah, I can't rock with you, because you're not going to understand when I say, hey, I know we got the money to go to Jamaica, but I got a kid who's getting ready to go into college and they need an extra $1,500, $2,500.
My baby needs this money to go to school. My baby comes first, not our vacation. I'm sorry. If you can't respect that, boy.
Yeah, goodbye.
I know that's right.
I was thinking that too. The vacation, traveling, there's a lot of things we might want to do, but hold on. Are there some conversations that we might put off until we think we're at a level, I guess 104, 105, that probably should be moved a little bit sooner when we're still in that early stages of a relationship?
They should be moved further if they would deem the relationship to end. They should be moved up sooner. I'm sorry, if they'd be deemed to end the relationship. The cadence or the timing that I use is this something that this person should know to be able to make a decision on whether they would want to even go into the future with me. So I share a lot of personal information with people up front in the beginning of dating, so that they can make that choice on, hey, you know, I don't want them to find out something after I've already entangled myself in, and now they feel really safe, or they feel like I'm the one, and now I'm gonna drop this bomb on them, like, and boom, this is what I got. I didn't want to tell you until you was really committed. That's
that's just so
in the words of Dave Chappelle, Dave, I'm pregnant. Gotcha. So I'm really big on that, on not wanting people to be overly invested or overly entangled with me on big things. Now there's things that I'll always be working on, and so it's like, you know, and things will come up new, because you're a living creature, you're a living being. You have actual things that are going to evolve as you go through life. So there's things that will come up later down the road, and that's different. But certain things I will bring forward or bring into the conversation sooner, just because I don't want them to feel like I tricked them or I use entrapment to get them to where we are. And now they have to make a decision on if they want to not be with someone they love versus not be with someone that they may not agree with something that they did.
So you said if you believe it to be an absolute deal breaker, something that any reasonable dating person on a dating market would want to, they would say, I need to stay away from that. Those are the things that need to be brought out sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. That's my theory. What is everybody else's theory?
I agree completely. with what you said. I mean, it's that manipulation thing. Boy, boy, boy. I mean, that's a huge one. That's a huge one, and it's so selfish and self-serving. And it's like how you mentioned earlier, someone taking away your right to choose. I mean, how do you know a person? How do you not respect a person enough to give them the option to say whether or not that works for them? I mean, if you're manipulating them, it's pretty much saying, I don't care what you think, how you feel. This works for me. Kick rocks, deal with it. I just, yeah, can't do the manipulation.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
I agree on that too. I feel like, to be fair, and if we're sitting up here having a adult dating life, not high school or anything like that, like I should have options. I should sit up here and know, like, it should be my choice, because I don't want it 15 years to go down and it's just like, dang, like I never had that choice or whatever the case may be. So I'm listening. I'm taking notes. But y'all speaking volume. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, that's a choice. I feel like that's a choice.
All right. Well,
I agree with you too, cousin Ro. There's some things that I want to be able to manage in the conversation flow. I want to be able to have that conversation eye to eye, and I do want to see their response. And it would still be measured, right? I don't just jump right in and be like, and I got $50,000 in student loan debt, and the car that I'm driving, yep, still making payments on that. And so when you start, sugar daddy, I can't compete. But if you do go to christiandating.com, you see another profile that I do have that. I'm not that guy. So we could come forward and have some conversations and gradually start to grow. But like you say, if you don't get out there and get that information out there sooner, then it can be devastating to the esteem of a person who has actually invested something here. And oh, you can't see it, but it was my heart I was pointing to. If they started to invest stuff here into the relationship, like they may have gone to 104 already, or thought that the relationship was at 104 and you were still at 102 under your non-disclosure stage.
Still at 101, what you mean?
Yeah, right. How long you gonna be at 101? So good night.
So I want to move forward because we are an hour and a half into this Intersation. I want to start kind of coming around the corner a little bit down the block. There's a couple of areas I want to talk about, and this area I want to be really briefly on because it has to do with what we were talking about from the perspective of finances and gifts. There, in my opinion, in today's society, there has been a shift where women are kind of becoming a little more superficial. They have a little more superficial tendencies than what they may have had before, where you would look at the character of a man we're just going to stick on that topic. The character of a man, his ability to provide for the family, and not just monetarily, but like what type of role model is he for the children in the household? And now we're starting to shift into this more of an IG mentality of what pictures do I see you in, and what do you have in those pictures, and what is the company that is exclusive company that you keep in those pictures. And so I'm starting to see like a much more superficial culture when it comes to women. And I mean, trust me, there's plenty of women who are not superficial, not materialistic. But in your opinion, and I really want to ask the women this one first, how is this mentality any different from prostitution? A woman who is selling her body to gain materials, money, or whatever it may be, resources.
Yeah, you see how big
the
smile is on my face.
They got crazy.
You see how big the smile is on my face because when you first, never mind. Well, to me, it really isn't any different. A lot of people would beg to differ because I think the mindset of a lot of ladies, they feel like their body or them sharing of their body, their temple with a man is worth something. And if he wants to give it to them, they don't see it because if it's a purse or some shoes or rent or, mortgage, SMUD, whatever, comment, they don't see it as that because they feel like, it's an even exchange. What could be more valuable than them? Now, do I necessarily agree with that? No. Because I think there are women where that's their business. Their business is to share their body and pleasure a man in such a way where he feels compelled to buy them cars and things like that. to me, in that context, then absolutely, it's equivalent to prostitution. What would be the difference? But if you're not functioning in that capacity, and there is the physical exchange, and he decides that he wants to give you gifts for whatever reason, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with sex, then I think that that's different. I think that there could be a fine line, but in terms of the way materialism is with people as a whole today, and the way I think that reality TV and people, everybody want to be rich and everybody want to be a star and everybody want to be on TV. So mimicking that and trying to live that representative as that representative in their life, they can't afford that. But for some reason, that is a lot of people's value. They don't feel like they're anything unless they have things. And so now you start to put yourself, or some women will start to put themselves in position to get certain things that they otherwise feel like they wouldn't be able to get on their own. So it's a fine line. It could be yes in one context, but then in another context, not necessarily. I hope that made sense.
No, it made sense to me. What do you got, Selena?
Social media is the devil. Say that.
Yes.
I agree. I think just in regards to like really just kind of looking in regards to talking to like people like around my age who always just looks like, oh, I need to be Instagram famous so I can get this, or I need a guy to get me this. And that I feel like it's the same as prostitution. I mean, we might not sleep with the people, but it's the same thing. I just feel like if you sit up here and ask somebody who's in the early 20s and who doesn't really know what hard work is, or who don't love themselves, no self-love or anything like that, who's just sitting up here wanting to be famous because that's what they see. That's what we're given to us in the society. Somebody who's pretty, who has a good body, who's flaunting all these guys to get them all this stuff. That's what they're going to do as well. They might have a game plan on Instagram in regards to that's their business. That's what they want to do. However, the person that's watching them, they don't have that mentality. They're not seeing their game plan. They don't know, because unfortunately, sometimes that's not shown to us. So I feel like it might be all fun and games, but the next person who's trying to mimic it is just like prostitution. Like, you're doing it and you can't even tell me why you're doing it. You're only doing it because you're getting something now, fulfilling right now. But are you sitting up here doing a mind game? Like, are you planning? Are you setting up your future with this? Are you paying off your school tuition with those?
Take care of those student loans.
Okay. Take care of them.
Okay, like, are you doing that? No. So I just feel like I don't know. I feel like we can go a whole interstation in regards to social media and what it does to us. I feel like that would be a really good one. But I just feel like it's kind of like you said, kind of in between. Like, you have this one person that's sitting up here actually grinding, actually sitting up here setting up their future, but then that person who's following them, they don't have that mentality. They don't know what they're doing, so therefore what they're doing is nothing.
Mimicry at best.
Yeah, it's
basically
they're just sitting up here spreading their legs and get it for free, and they don't even know why, with
right.
no game plan. So
spreading your legs for free. Cousin Mo, what do you got to add to that?
We can add the perspective from the male. So it is addictive, right? We don't want to knock the hustle of the females who's on the Instagram and social media pages doing all of that. Even if she's monetized it with the PayPal and send me a Cash App, Venmo or whatnot. But at the same time, it's addictive. DM. We jumping in those DMs and then being that guy that she responds to could be addictive for the guy. Seeing those pictures and following what they're doing, and now they're here, now they're there. Oh, maybe I want to be at a place where I can go to Miami. Maybe I want to be able to go to Los Angeles and those other things. Maybe if I'm traveling more, I can get a better response. So what's really starting to become addictive is this attention and the quick attention, and then not how do you say it? It's something that's insatiable. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
To where even when you finally go back into the dating market space, you're not just entertaining yourself temporarily as you scroll up and down or swipe left and right, but when you're looking for that information, that immediate gratification that you get from somebody that was liking your pictures or jumping in your DMs. Look, I barely said one thing to her. Now she's responding already. Oh, look how I got this one. They're giving me this attention. Oh, look at this one. And being able to share that information in quick time. Now you're in a relationship. And how are you going to maintain a relationship when you're used to things happening so quickly, and you're used to the variety of different emotions that you're able to get from even the bad ones? Like, look, she ain't responded back. That's an emotion that can also be addictive, right? That could be something that pushes you towards, well, what do I do next? So not just from the lens of are the women's being prostitutes, but even the guys are starting to sell themselves a little bit short, sell their value a little bit short. They're getting addicted to that attention, and they're allowing it to set up some bad habits that they carry into long-term relationships.
No, I agree. It can become very insatiable for men and for women, where I can't buy you enough gifts for you to think I care about you. I didn't buy you a Louis bag today, but you didn't bring home any flowers today. Look, I'm quick to tell you, I'm not going to do things that I really don't want to do, because if I really don't want to do them and you decide you want to hold me to them, then guess what? Now I'm going to be having to live as the representative for the rest of my life, when that's not who I want to be. I want to be Billy, authentically myself, authentic Billy. And hopefully you like that person, because that's who you're going to get 90,000% of the time. So as far as for me, when it comes to just women, and I want to be really brief on this because I want to flip the script to men. When it comes to women, just in looking at what they can get from a person in the aspect of materials, I've always thought that it's very interesting, because I've lived a life where I have had and I have not had. And so when you attach that value that should be within yourself, when you attach it to materialistic things, the moment that those are not able to be manifest or able to be brought to the table, you're looking for the next relationship. And I think that's why in a lot of relationships, whether it's maybe sometimes it's not a physical thing, sometimes it's a mental thing, but we attach these values or assign these values to these things. And then when they are not present in a relationship, we start looking to where we can set our next foothold or establish our next foothold into our next relationship. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. I think it's very much not too different from prostitution, just because, again, you're offering a service for a fee, and that fee may not necessarily be United States bills. It might be, purses, bags, earrings, jewelry, whatever it may be, vacations, whatever it may be, you're offering it for a fee. And so really what you should be offering, in my opinion, is the value that you have as a person, and giving people access to that. I think you start, once you understand that that's what you're giving people access to, I think you start to change what you're willing to sell it for. And I'm going to leave it at that. But let's flip it, because I want to be fair. I don't want to just attack the ladies. I want to be fair and present this question, because I want you to go first. And it's a two-part question. Do men judge women with timelines attached to sex? And what does the notch on the belt mentality teach us about self-worth? And the notch on the belt, I mean, I'm pretty sure we grew up in the same area, but for the viewers who may not know what the notch of the belt is you get a notch in your belt for every woman that you sleep with. What does that mentality teach us about self-worth?
Absolutely. So I think the education on it, I'm going to answer the second one first, the notch on the belt. The education that we receive from toxic or from men who may not have been the best at explaining the dynamics of relationships is a conquering mentality. It was permission to be promiscuous. It was permission to be a piece of crap. It was about that sexual exploitation, about having those moments. The experiences would always have in the back of our minds the culmination of sex. The expectation was for sex. So that notch on the belt didn't allow us to develop those senses, that sensory to be able to understand it. It didn't allow us to embrace our feelings. In fact, as men, we couldn't even have those feelings. We couldn't deal in a space of feelings. And so it made us desire those things that we probably shouldn't desire, not at level 1, not at level 2, not even at level 3, but we're pushing those things as the priority rather than understanding a person, learning to respect a person, building those boundaries and having open-minded communication, establishing a vision even for oneself. we're still just looking towards acquiring that next notch, which means I'm gonna do the push-ups and the sit-ups because women are attracted to that. I'm gonna buy this Benz and pay $400 a month because women are attracted to that. I'm gonna be seen in the best nightclubs with the best homeboys, and my team all makes six figures, and we all got 760 plus credit scores. We're working on multi-family housing apartments because that's what we're attracted to. And now what happens? My expectation is unrealistic. Most women will not be able to meet you at that level. She's not looking at multi-family housing units as her next stream of residual income. So your standard is up here. You think now, I don't think a woman can meet my standard on buying these homes. Her FICO score isn't there. Her regular income from her job isn't even what mine is on my investment portfolio. So now what do? It's circular. Now they're going back after that same Instagram fame, that same prostitution, that same lowbrow woman who cannot give them what their heart truly desires. And so they don't have to live up to anything other than putting another notch on their belt. So that's what I think what happens. What was that first question one more time, Cousin Ro?
No, you're already transitioning into it. But do men judge women with timelines attached to sex? So basically, pressing timelines and manipulation.
Absolutely. That timeline is critical. If it's not happening even on the first night or after we've had a couple of contacts via Instagram, text messages back and forth, we may have went on that one date. It's already in the back of their mind. If the first date doesn't end in some form of intimate touch, some emotional intimacy, I don't feel connected to you, then around time 2 or 3, we're probably out of there already. So as long as it takes that woman to get to that third conversation, that third intimate moment, that third date, is if sex was already there in the back of their minds. If they didn't hit it, here's the challenge, right? So for a man who's been accustomed and groomed to try to put that notch on his belt, he's already thinking it, and he's already deploying his tactics, his double L. He licking them lips. He's trying to move in close. Is it time to touch? He wants to get on the hair. He wants to pull her close. He's going to test you. Can I give you a ride? We could just meet up here and ride together to the club. He's going to test you. Let me get you this one more drink. Oh, no, you can drink with us. He's going to test you. Now let's just get a bottle. Bring your homegirls if you're still into the partying. If not, let's go to the jazz club and let's two-step so I can show her how I move. He's going to test you because it's about that notch. And if he's not, more refined like Cousin Ro and myself here, I've been married 12 years, so I know how to play the game. He's going to push that timeline forward. Those are my 2 cents. It doesn't apply to every man, of course, but in general, you can take that for what it's worth.
No, I feel that. Terrell, you got a grilled cheese smile on your face right now, girl. What you got to say?
Oh, it's a grilled cheese sandwich. I got it.
Yeah. Start off with that. It's all very interesting to me. It takes me back to, and I'm feeling everything that Mo said, because just observing some things, we don't know exactly as women how you guys think. You'll do certain things and we'll attach a meaning to it that means something from the female perspective. We don't know that there's a completely different meaning from the male perspective. So when I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all of this, there's so much of what I've seen and I've observed that he just made sense of. I was thinking about it completely and totally the wrong way. So with all that I heard, my question would be, what's missing from these men? Because you have to be in a space of wanting. There has to be a void that needs to be filled where you set your standards up here. And that's who you feel like you are. That's where you want to be. That's what you want. But then you go and seek women who are not even in the same pond that you're in. And those are the ones that you attach yourself to. So all of this just has me questioning, why is it that there are so many issues that are deep that men either ignore, don't acknowledge, don't know how to deal with? Because this stuff for women, a lot of women, is a part of being a woman. We all are in a space where we're wanting, where there are holes and things that need to be filled, but maybe because we're nurturers, and I'm not saying that this is exclusively all women. There are some women that are going to fall outside of what I'm saying. We've seen a lot of them, but for the majority of us, because we're nurturers, we come to a space of wanting and yearning to fill those voids, to deal with those issues. And maybe it's because we're designed so that what we know we're teaching our young. You know, so there's an evolutionary process that's just that's natural, that's innate, and it's something that we actually look to. It's a part of being a woman. That part is absent in men. Not completely and totally absent as in dead, just in a different type of way. You're not nurturers. You know what I'm saying? So the more I listen to this, it's like it's just a bunch of brothers with just holes, things that are missing. And instead of them having that innate button that comes on that makes them want to search and fulfill these holes, it just can turn into just a bunch of manipulation and just using people and you know, just meeting their own ends at anybody's expense. And usually what happens, and I'm not saying this is all men, but in my experience, they age out of it. What'll happen is they get too old and too tired to be able to do all of the foolery that they were doing. They're not stopping because something has, oh man, I see the light and I want to be better and I want to give this back in some sense of servitude. It's no, now they impotent.
Right. Now they on a fixed income.
Limping and stuff, right? Fixed
They need a cleanup woman.
They got all them doggone kids is out of college and the child support they never paid. Now they coming to take the stuff that they did acquire. And it's rarely is it because, hey, I've just come to a space and it's this hole in me and I'm tired of feeling this way and I'm tired of chasing. How many of the same women do you sleep with? You know, and you just, you know, they're not happy doing it, obviously, you know, but they just keep doing it. So it just brought about more questions for me.
Well, to answer your first question of what are these men lacking, really, and I think Cousin Mo, you'll agree with me, it's discipline. Cousin Mo, you being a military man, you understand the value of discipline. You know, you might want to march this way or you might not want to march. However, discipline dictates that, you know, I need to be disciplined to be prepared. So I need to be disciplined enough to get up and do this exercise, disciplined enough to follow these orders and follow these instructions. That is what a lot of men lack. And I myself, there's still areas that I lack discipline in. However, when I was younger, the discipline that I lacked, I was able to see that, oh, this is a lack of discipline. And I really need to be more cognizant, kind of like when I'm on the domino table, Cousin Mo, where, you know, you say all money ain't good money. Well, you know, everything that you may desire is not necessarily for you. It's not necessarily good for you. So you have to be disciplined enough to be able to say, yeah, no, that sounds great. Like sleeping with you tonight sounds great. I know my body physically or in the chemistry of my body wants to sleep with you. I have an erection. So yeah, I'm down to get down physically. But the discipline in me says that we are not there yet. And it's very hard as a man to be able to get to a place where you're like, damn, I don't have to sleep with everybody who says they want to sleep with me. Like it's a very simple sentence. I don't have to sleep with everybody who wants to sleep with me. Oh, damn, I have a choice. It's simple to say, however, it is very difficult to actually enact and apply to your life. So for me, the discipline aspect has come from really putting my mind space into as many situations as I possibly can before I get to the situation. My uncle used to tell me, look, if she has, I'm going to try to dumb it down to a much more PG version. If she has your penis in her mouth, it's too late. Like real talk. if you've gone that far, you're not, I've never seen a man go from that to, hey, we shouldn't. I've never seen that. So you have to make these decisions. And Cousin Mo knows it's true. That's why you're dying. You have to make these decisions in isolation when you're in a logical space to make the healthy decision. So that way, when you get to the opportunity to make the wrong decision, you at least have something to bounce against and say, wait a minute, I said that this was the right decision. So what is going to change this from being the right decision to me now sleeping with you being the right decision? That's how you end up with kids that you didn't expect to have, with people you didn't expect to have them with, because you're not thinking ahead of time. You're thinking in the moment. So it comes from a lack of discipline. If you are an undisciplined man and or an undisciplined woman, you are going to make those decisions and those choices that if you took a second to think about them, you would understand that they were going to be toxic to your life and not produce the result that you really want to produce. Because
discipline and maturity.
Yeah, because sleeping with a person, actually, though it is a part of a goal, it is not the overall goal. Because you sleep with the wrong person, I guarantee you, it'll be a life-changing experience, whether it be a kid, a STD, a crazy woman keying up your car. You can't get into another relationship because there was just a story where a woman literally held a guy's girlfriend hostage. I don't know if she killed her or not because I didn't read all the story, but at least held her hostage because she was with the guy that slept with her. Like, you don't know what you're inviting. So you got to be disciplined enough to figure that out before you go trying to figure something on the inside out. That's just my 3 cents. I got 3 cents this time. My bad. Cousin Mo, I seen you over there cracking up. Is there anything you want to add to what these men might be lacking?
That was almost a whole nickel right there, man. Like, you giving them the dimes, like for real. Why did we have to replace it with sex in the first place? You see them on Instagram or social media. That's almost like they used to have the porn magazine hidden under the bed, but now it's in real time, and this person is probably accessible, and they might just be a plane ticket away. And why can't they stop doing that? Because that program that they have operating in the back of their head is still operating a lot stronger than the one that is compassionate, than the one that is nurturing, than the one that is respectable. And for them, if that's what they know and that's what they're comfortable with, they might want to keep marching to those tunes. So yeah, even I struggle with some of these things at the same time. Like, I still desire the hell out of my wife, but my validation now is because I am married. But had I not been the married person, these same feelings and emotions are still right and within me. So yeah, maturity comes. No breath of wisdom ever happened where you just woke up and now I'm feeling real solid, real spiritual, real understanding and wise. No, what happens is you find you a good woman and she's able to do something good for you in your life. And if they haven't experienced that, then live a little bit longer. She coming, bro.
Hey, she on her way. Or you got to be on your way to who you need to be to find her. So I want to start wrapping because we're almost at 2 hours. So I want to start wrapping. I have 2 more questions I want to ask. And I think this is a really important question because it comes from the 101 series where the person is sending the representative. And as you get into 102, 103, you want to make sure that you're getting that representative out of the way and getting the actual person in front of you so that you can make that decision to interact with them going forward. So my question would be is how, in any of your guys' circumstances or any of the tools that you guys have used, how do you weed out that representative that is trying to woo you into being in a deeper relationship with them?
Well, I think that the best way to weed out a representative, and see, this is difficult because if you're younger, a lot of that has to do with who you are and your ability and comfort with trusting yourself. Anytime any one of us can probably say that this would be true. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think that this might be true for most. And anytime you've ever been fooled, you kind of sort of knew beforehand.
Right.
Always. It takes maturity to get to a space where you trust your intuition and what you feel, and you're more focused on that intuition and what you feel and not what you want. Because if it's something that you really want, you'll ignore the things that you feel and the things that you see, the things that you hear, the things that don't add up. So that wisdom comes in when you say, yeah, man, he is, yeah, all that. But then there are things that are there. You trust what you see if it doesn't feel right. And you rock with that. So I think that listening to yourself is always going to be the best way to weed out a representative. I don't think you should ever be dating if you're in a space of wanting. If you really want to be with somebody, that's a reason why you shouldn't be dating, because you should be comfortable with being at whatever space and stage you are in your life and letting those things, I believe, evolve naturally. I don't believe in going look and finding somebody or wanting to be found. That's when you get got.
Right.
So don't be in a space of wanting, and listen to yourself. Be open to listen to yourself. If you say, well, I don't have things like that. I can't, I don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't be dating. You just shouldn't be, because you should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you can't hear yourself, trust me, you're not ready to be dating.
You should not be dating. So that's what I have to say about that.
Don't go to the grocery store hungry. Don't go to the bar thirsty. And you're going to spend more than you intended on spending.
Right.
Exactly.
They're going to exploit that weakness.
All the time.
So, Lena, I'm interested in hearing, because you're in a different generation than we are. We're all actually in a couple of different generations, but I'm interested in hearing for you with the age group that you're in. How do you weed out the representative, the guy who tries to show you the things up front that he thinks are going to attract you in, and then has this other person hidden behind? How do you weed that out in today's social media saturated environment?
Yeah.
I think in regards to where I'm at right now, it's helped a lot knowing myself in regards to like you said, like trusting yourself. I've looked in the past and like why didn't I see that, or why was that person one way and then later on he's a totally different person? Like, I don't understand, I didn't see it. And I feel like, for one, it's like the whole intuition, like everything was in front of you. It's just, unfortunately, with social media is sitting up here telling me that we want to be in a relationship, we want to be loved, we want this, we want that, and we don't know why we want it. So I feel like that's hard. I feel like social media really plays a part in regarding to having you be blinded and not seeing seeing signs, or seeing somebody that you don't need to be with, wanting to be those goals. I know right now personally, just because, as you were saying, trusting yourself, I was like, oh yeah, I had to have that conversation with myself. Like, I had to talk to myself this weekend about that. I was like, Lord Jesus, like, you were talking to me again. I want to be your friend. Like, so I feel like it's important to know yourself and to open your eyes and know what you want, and kind of shimmer down in regards to, oh, this person is out here, he's telling me this is what he's gonna do for me, and oh, that's in, oh, we about to be social media baes. It's just like it's just really hard to weed out all of that, all of the distractions, and actually seeing. And I feel like in regards to my age group, that's why there's people jumping to that hubby and wifey stage that they don't need to be in, because that's what we're seeing. That's popular, and that's beautiful. And I don't feel like we're not having successful relationships. We want to sit up here and have divorce rate go down, but we can't have divorce rates go down or anything like that if we're sitting up here idolizing a make-believe story, something that we don't see. So as far as just for me, that's what I see. But girl, again, you trust in yourself. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Open out. Ooh, I don't want to see that. I see those signs. Do I want to do that? Do I want to hurt myself? Do I not want to hurt myself? No, I don't want to hurt myself. It might hurt because I thought that's the person that I agree with, but I ain't about to hurt myself. I'm a young queen.
Hey, there you go. I'm a young queen. I like that. I like that. I'm a young queen. Respect my scepter and my royalty.
That's right.
Cousin Mo, what do you got there for weeding out that representative?
You know how I'm pretty sure you've heard of it, but the shit test that women can put a man through. Mm-hmm. And then being able to identify what that test actually is, and then how petty it is. And that's how you can weed out their representative, the person why they're built up their wall to try to protect themselves, the expectations that they're trying to mask, even those insecurities that they're trying to hide behind and try to project onto you. So the smell test being one of the major ones, the resources, the little tests like, hey, this is something that just popped up. I was wondering if sometimes they're just trying to play you a little bit and just see if you're willing to open up. So those tests, are they the sophisticated tests that involve a heck of a lot of thinking? Is this something to where the test is via the phone, like a young tactic, rather face to face, where they're looking you in the eyes and they're giving you this demonstration of this crisis that they're going through, or this something that's very important for them to have a conversation about. The gift test is something that I would like to do as well. So if I present them with a gift, how do they respond to it? And then, I said sex and a sandwich. There's some symbolism in that as well. If you bring somebody a sandwich and they look at it like, What's on this? There's probably something underneath that. If I don't like the crust on my bread, there's probably something. If they can nag or complain about just about anything, then their representative is most likely to fall if it was something other than just that sandwich. So those are some of the things that we look at. Not only how am I performing? Don't just be selfish. How am I performing at passing someone's shit test or their smell detector, right? This is the radar that everybody has, that I want to know that I'm not getting myself overly involved. I know I'm in the earlier stages of the relationship, but I have to at least have some challenges to the way that I feel. And I know that I'm going to challenge myself on it. I'm going to second guess it. I'm going to question it, no matter how good it feels. But at the same time, I'm going to also give them some tests. And let's look at some of the tests that they're giving us and then try to evaluate that as well. Okay, they did this. What does that actually mean? So long story short, let's be a little bit more reflective.
All right. I like that. The only thing I would add to actually what you said, Moses, is a very good friend of mine gave me advice when we were having a mastermind meeting one time. And he was like, what's the first thing that women notice when a man walks into a room? It's not his hair. It's not his eyes. It's not his physique, not his money. The first thing that a woman gets is the vibe on if the man is safe. If the man is safe, like, is this the dude who's going to slip something in my drink, or is this the dude, somebody I can actually talk to and trust in my space? Because that's what you're in when you're interacting. And really, for me, the way that I weed out the representative is to create an environment of safety, but still being true to who I am. Like, I'm not a flight type person. I'm a fight person. So if you step to me the wrong way, it's going to be a fight. It's not going to be me running away. But I let them know that that's the type of person I am. However, I'm also very, what do they say? Democratic, or it's a democracy with diplomatic. Thank you. Not democratic, diplomatic when it comes to approaching conflict. I'm very, hey, either we're going to resolve this and move on, or we're going to take this to the next level and I'm going to change your life. Like, that's really where I'm at. But I provide that safety for the representative to say, okay, I could take the night off. I can go home and get out the way, so that these people can have a true interaction with each other from an authentic to authentic level. So for me, that's the only thing I would add to that, is instead of worrying about what I smell or what's coming around, I would be more so apt to provide an environment of safety for a person to be able to open up and be who they are, whether they snort when they laugh, if they chew with their mouth open. I want you to be who you are, because I don't want 2 years down the road you start chewing with your mouth open. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Close your mouth while you chew it.
You greens or what?
The treachery. So that's the only thing I would add to what all you guys have said, is really just create an environment of safety where it's become safe for the bodyguard, the representative, to go home, take the night off, so that way you can actually get to a skin-to-skin contact, not sexually, but skin-to-skin intimacy from connecting with one another. With that, I want to ask my last question, because we are going to wrap for the evening. As with every Intersation, you guys have been phenomenal. I love these panels, so these are definitely something that will continue to take place. But the last question I want to ask, you guys can go in whichever order you want to go in. If there are 2 points that you want to leave the people with from tonight's conversation, what would those points be that you want the audience to take, whether they're watching live or on the replay?
Make a sandwich.
Make a sandwich.
Definitely
make a sandwich. Okay. Oh, my phone. Sorry. I promise next time around I'm gonna get this better. Okay.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
I feel like 2 things or 3 for that sandwich to take away from this panel tonight is listening to yourself. That's a big one. Listening to yourself. And I got stuck because this show was just so much. It just Can I pass it to a friend and you come back?
Yeah, sure.
Call a friend. I'm your friend. So the first one that I got, Cousin Ro, and this was powerful. Very powerful build, a lot of learnings and things, a lot of reflection that I'm gonna be chewing on for a few weeks or so before I can even come back and have the next conversation with you. So don't you call me, but I gotta let it burn a little bit, because one of the major ones that I understand from this conversation is knowing where you're at, and being able to have that communications around where you're at. If we're not at level 106, and I've been married 11 years, but there are times where it starts to feel like maybe we are back at 101. And it may just be for that one conversation that we didn't really have a thorough enough conversation around finances. When we got to 102, I was sharing my vision, but I didn't take the time to listen to her vision. When we got to 103, we started making plans on moving in together, but we hadn't really had that conversation around the division of labor. When we got to 104 and we were finally living together, it was about the bills and the separation of these bills, but we really wasn't talking about respecting each other's 401ks. We were more looking at the trips that we could take and the cars and the car notes that needed to be paid, but we really wasn't talking about the long-term end game when the kids need things, and those other elements that come into the relationship. So because of that knowledge now, I'm able to reflect back and say, well, we had some 102 moments that we might need to revisit. And that's with me and my wife. Number one, knowing where you're at in your relationship. If there is a certain thing as a relationship 101, a dating 102, me and my wife are still dating, a dating 103, but know where you're at, have the conversations around it, and then be open-minded and listen to the other person as well as listening to yourself. So those are my big takeaways. I'm gonna leave them right there on the table, and I'm gonna eat on them for a few weeks.
All right. Terrell, what do you got?
I think probably the biggest takeaway from this would be definitely 100%. Always go into any situation being 100% yourself. You can't control what the other person does, but I think a lot of the time, the energy you put out is the energy that's going to be drawn to you. You're going to get more of that than the latter. So if you're putting out a bunch of confusion, and if you're not being authentic, then that's what you can expect to get back mostly. So always show up and be authentically who you are so you can get back what you really want. And then secondly, when you do decide to make a connection with someone, don't be so focused on you. Be focused on them as well. You have to be a good listener and be open to what's going on with the other person. You should value that. You should value that. I think a lot of the times we're so busy stepping into situations with what we want and what we would like to get and what we want from the other person, not really taking into account that they're coming into it with some things that they would like and that they want, they need as well. If you're open to sharing what you have and open to taking in what they're offering, then I think you'll get a whole lot further in situations than what a lot of the times we do.
Okay, I like that too. All right, Selena, coming back to you for your other.
Thanks, y'all. My other one, honestly, would have to be is giving that person the choice. We talked about choices a lot. I feel like with just giving them the choice in the relationship in general, whether it's, this is what I like, and do you like it or not, just giving that person that choice, letting them be able to make the decisions for themselves so they don't feel trapped later on, or they don't feel heartbroken later on. Letting them make their own decisions. It goes with that communication part, I believe. And I just think that's really, really, really important, because I feel like that's how a lot of people get blindsided and they get hurt, is because they don't have that choice, or they sit up here and do have that choice, but unfortunately, again, they don't listen to themselves, or they're just too in love. They're in 1,000 when they should really be in 102. So right. I think that's really important. I think that's something that I really took away, and I hope y'all, you guys take away too. Y'all young folks like me too, watching.
That's right. That's right. I like it.
Remember,
I love it.
All young queens and we all young kings. Let's make this world better.
All right. I'm with it.
Yeah.
My second and last one, Omega Dreads never came back. Telling y'all and ran him out the room, man. My dude always come back, and he did not come back either.
I was looking for him. He gonna have to post something in the comments or something.
He might do a whole live stream about that one.
He'll be on the replay.
Oh yes. See, we challenged the brother. We had that conversation around, that expectation that if a woman has children, or if, in his case, if a woman has children, would you be open to having that? And I think that's also going to challenge some folks who watch the live stream and those who are in there.
No, he back. He like, I'm still here.
Got him.
Yeah,
you gonna come back?
He like, oh no, y'all didn't. I ain't gonna know where him is.
Got him.
Writing all that time. What's this paragraph?
He said, now. Hey, I ain't even mad at you. I appreciate you for rocking, Omega.
Don't be sticking on my name like that. Hold on.
Yeah,
right. Better put some respect on his name.
Let me put some respect on his name, man.
That's right.
I've seen Omega. He has plenty of things to say, so I'll be happy to see what he adds to it.
Indeed,
but
indeed.
So as always with Intersations, first I want to thank you guys as far as the audience and the panel. Moses, Selena, Terralyn, I appreciate you guys rocking tonight. You guys have done a phenomenal job really killing this topic. I can't wait for the next panel Intersation because there's so many more topics. Selena, I did write down the social media trap. We're going to have to create a panel around that so we can really start digging into what are people posting these pictures for? Are you posting it so your family can keep up with you, or do you want something else?
Are you posting it to get that clout? Like oh my gosh. I think that would be such a good video because that is just so on topic in regards to today's society is social media. Like right now I'm on a social media cleanse. So if you slid in my DMs telling me to post anything or whatever, I'm so sorry. I didn't see anything.
It's all right. No worries.
I'm on a social media cleanse. You just got to reconnect with yourself because Lord Jesus, social media is the devil.
Reconnect with reality.
Oh, that part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, he said he went to mediation. That's long story short. Omega went to mediation, and that's why he would never. Mediation could be an ugly place. So I understand. I just wouldn't have went to mediation. Like that is not my thing. I will support you in that conversation afterwards.
Support you from a distance.
Yeah,
I know that's right.
So always with Intersations, I always love to do what I call tools for the first row. The reason why this channel is called First Row, or this network is called First Row, is because when I was younger, I was taught by a business mentor that the people who sit on the first row, they make the most money and they get the most information because there is no distraction between them and the person presenting. So the first row was birthed out of that particular concept. However, because you're on the first row tonight, I want to share with you what I call tools for the first row, because these are tools that I kind of thought about when I was creating content for this particular topic. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Terralyn for helping me with the questions on this particular content because, brother was overwhelmed and I had to ask for some help. So I want to give you credit where credit is due as well, Terralyn. I'm sorry. Meditation. I thought you said mediation. My bad. Meditation.
I like your emoji.
My bad. So the tools for the first row, I came up with 4 tools that really were what encompassed the 102 concept of dating for me. And the first tool that I came up with was ask the difficult questions. And this kind of resonates with me where everybody is saying, trust that voice that's on the inside of your head. If your gut is telling you something, trust that. But it doesn't mean you have to turn around and write a story to make that story true to yourself. You can ask the questions and then trust your gut on whether or not that person is being truthful in their response, or if they're trying to continue to mislead or manipulate you down a road that you don't want to go into. So really, if there's something you want to ask, don't hold it in, because if you are also holding that in, then you're not being authentic to yourself. Figure out why the information is important to you. And then instead of trying to attempt to match up what the response is, listen to this person's response. Don't worry so much about whether it matches up to who you want them to be. Listen to what they're saying. And then the overall end all be all to asking the question, the difficult questions is watch the actions. So you listen to what's being said and watch the actions to see what's real. The second tool that I came up with is talk about future plans. I'm going to do a Wednesday word called What is the Forecast? And it really is a look at how we are so quick to look at the weather. Like I've looked at the weather for the next 10 days to see how I need to dress accordingly, if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be hot, if I can do something outside, or if I need to stay inside, if I'm going to drive. I'm doing all this stuff based on the information from the weather. We need to talk about what the future plans are so that we can understand what the forecast is going to be in the relationship. If you haven't talked about home ownership, you're just hoping then that you're going to buy a home. Talk about the things that are in the future. Obviously, stay in your lane, stay at the level that you're at, stay at the appropriate levels, but be willing to talk about the future, because if you can't talk about the future, then there is no vision. And for those who are biblical, where there is no vision, the relationship is going to perish. The third tool that I came up with, let's go back to the future really quick. One of the big things, if having kids is a big part that people should talk about, not about whether or not you're going to have them, but what does having kids mean? How are you going to guide and raise those children? That is where in my relationships where I've had the most friction. It wasn't in the little things. It was in, well, I believe that children should have whoopings. Well, I don't believe children should have whoopings. Well, why the hell didn't we talk about this before we had kids? Because now you're looking at me like I'm beating the hell out of our kids, and I'm looking at you like, well, why aren't you doing something about the way they're treating you? So have those conversations. That's a big part of future plans. I just had to throw that back in there for the parenting style aspect. The third tool that I came up with is use proper relationship currency. What do I mean by this? Proper relationship currency is not manipulation. And that doesn't matter whether it's mental manipulation or material manipulation. Proper relationship currency is authenticity. It is about connecting with the true person and being who you truly are. What you'll find if you know anything about stock, Cousin Mo, I know you know about stock. What you'll find is that whenever a price of a stock is manipulated, there are two things that happen. The price can shoot up super fast, and then all of a sudden the price just boom, flatlines, falls out, because it is manipulated in a way that makes it look appealing, that makes a lot of people want to be a part of it, that make a lot of people want to throw their investment, their hard-earned money into it. But then when the reality comes to the surface and people start finding out, oh, that was just a sham and that was a scam, then all of a sudden everybody starts abandoning ship. So use the proper relationship currency no matter what level you're at, because what will happen is if you're not being true and you're not being genuine, eventually that will be recognized at one point or another in the relationship, and everything that you have invested in and they have invested in will more than likely fall because of the fact that they were all built upon a falsehood. So that's the third tool, use proper relationship currency. And then the last thing is pace yourself. I don't understand why people have gotten out of this organic pace of life. I don't know if they feel like time is running out. I don't know if they feel like life's short. You got to live it as hard as you can. But pace yourself. If you're in a foot race, going back to what Carolyn said, there is something that you are wanting. You're going into the relationship wanting something. And so that's why you're trying to expedite every single process, whether it's sexual interactions or getting married or being officially boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever it may be. You're trying to expedite them because you and yourself are empty in some area, not necessarily completely, but you're empty in some area that needs to be addressed. So address that. So that way, when you're going into these dating 101s, 102, 103, 104s, you're able to set an appropriate organic pace that is not hurried and doesn't get you into the other issues of using the wrong relationship currency. I'm just going to manipulate him and do everything he wants me to do right now because I just want to be married. I'm gonna just manipulate her and do everything she wants me to do right now because I just want to sleep with her. You don't have to worry about that when you pace yourself for an organic pace. So again, those 4 tools are: ask the difficult questions, talk about future plans, what's the forecast, use proper relationship currency, and then overall at the end of the day, make sure that you're pacing yourself. Don't burn yourself out on the relationship. But with that, other than that, I've really enjoyed tonight's topic. There's just, I got some comments I don't want to do. I got some more meditation by Omega Dread with the Om. He said, I learned something deeply within humans and governments in manipulation. True. There is something deep inside of them. If truth hurts them so bad, why tell it? If ignorance is bliss, then they are in heaven. No, I'm gonna just tell you the truth. You're just gonna have to sort that out between you and heaven. But other than that, I really want to thank you guys for tuning in live, being a part of the live chat, rocking with us. For those who are watching in the replay, thank you for watching. If you've gotten to this point where you've gotten all this information, please pay it forward. If you haven't done so already, please like the video, share the video. We're looking to really expand this network on YouTube and really growing our subscriber base. So please do me a favor, do yourself a favor, do somebody you know and love a favor, share this video with them, like this video so that it can move up in the rankings and that it can get the exposure that I believe that it deserves. Other than that, the next time that we will be live, or the next time the first row will be live, will actually be tomorrow. It will be the Wednesday Word. That is at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That topic is on mind control. If you want to know what the topic is about, you got to tune in live to find out. So other than that, thank you, Chairlin. Thank you, Moses. Thank you, Selena, for being on tonight. Thank you, live audience, for rocking with us tonight in the chat. If you do like this video, please share it. If you share it, please like it. I'm happy to engage with you in the live chat, and I'm happy to engage with you in the replay in the comments if you leave a comment. Other than that, until the next time, we look forward to seeing you on the first row. One love, peace, and God bless.
Peace.
Peace.